Boom. Just waiting for Nicolette to come on. I'm glad everybody is here, tuned in. This will be a great interview. Just give me a second for Miss Nicolette to come on the platform. This will be a great interview. All right, all right. Just give me a second. Waiting for her to come on the platform. Bow. Hey, hey, what's going on, Nicolette? Can you hear me? Let me add you. Let me add you up.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
We good to go?
Yep.
Let's get this thing started. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope everybody get ready to come in. We about to have a great conversation. I'm glad you can join the platform, Nicolette. I'm glad you found the time. I know you're on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I'm on the West Coast today right now.
Okay. Well, look, welcome to the Making Conservatism Look Cool podcast. Today I have a special guest. I have actress, musician, and the new West Regional Director of Blexit, Mrs. Nicolette Vonchelle. Am I pronouncing it right?
You did good.
Nicolette Vonchelle. Okay, so Nicolette, first of
Yeah.
all, where are you originally from? I always wanted to know that.
Originally, I'm from Alabama. Roll Tide.
Alabama. Roll Tide.
Yeah.
Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
if you were raised in Alabama, and everybody knows, if you anywhere from the South, everybody knows this. Like, you either raised an Alabama Roll Tide or you Auburn Tiger. Um, but
Oh,
seeing
okay.
as Auburn Tiger gets ran into the ground all the time, but I've been Roll Tide since I was a kid. Like, it's that rivalry runs deep in the South. So
I know that's
yeah,
right. I know that's right.
yeah.
Well, look, Nicolette, I've been following you for at least, I say, since the end of last year. And I
Really?
first since the around end of November.
Oh,
The
that's
end,
what's up. I didn't know that.
yeah,
I
and
thought I
I
thought
don't,
this
you know
was
when,
a partnership.
yeah, sometimes, people's reels come up and then I just went on your page and I was very interested in the things that you were talking about. And I was like, wow, this is a young black woman that has a conservative perspective. So the purpose of my platform is trying to reach out to all the different conservatives that I admire. And
Yeah.
you seem like someone that has a great mind, and I just wanted to have an opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. That's really dope. I appreciate that. That really encourages me like a lot. Thank
Nah,
you.
nah, I appreciate it. I appreciate what you're doing. So first of all, to the people who don't know about Blexit,
Yeah.
explain to them what Blexit is, and can you explain to the people what is your role in the Blexit movement?
Okay. So the beautiful thing about Blexit is that we focus completely on having a presence in the community and not just being about lip service, but actually being about doing the work. Because you can talk all day about change, but if you're not willing to put your feet to the dirt and the mud and get in there and actually make things happen, it really doesn't matter. So Blexit actually is able to do that, and we focus on four key things, which basically, in a nutshell, is criminal justice reform. Um, we talk about solutions with that, what it looks like, and the beautiful thing about Blexit being a national nonprofit organization is that it looks different in every state. So
Okay.
that's really dope. We also spend time developing history programs. We have a professor or a teacher, whatever you want to call her, on our team that actually on a regular basis does leadership classes, but also does history classes on different topics that affect not just the Black community, but underserved communities as well. We also are heavy on school choice, which right now, obviously in the country, parental rights is a big deal right now. So the parental rights fight for fighting against the over sexualizing of children in schools and in the education system falls under school choice, because you should get to, you as a parent, you have say so in what your children get to learn when you send them to a school
Right.
that you have trusted to teach your children what they need to know to be members of society, and not being groomed for sexual predators. And then last but surely not least is that we really, really push financial literacy and entrepreneurship, specifically targeting the younger generation, so that they know that they don't have to be a product of their environment. You don't have to be a product of your surroundings. If you're growing up in the hood, if you come from a bad home, if you're raised in if you're only raised by one parent, none of those things get to hold merit over your future. So we spend time um, we spend time developing relationships with people in the community that can speak to financial literacy. Last year in February, I brought a bunch of different entrepreneurs together, as well as an accountant and a financial expert, to talk to the people in the community about what that looks like. What are the smart things to do with your money in today's economy? That sort of thing. So that's those are the four major points that we focus on. But obviously, like the fifth point is always on a monthly basis. Every single chapter, we are all tasked with making sure we have one big event in the community once a month. Because what else are we here, and what else are we talking about? And how can you really say that you're fighting for something if you're not
Right.
willing to put your, like I said, put your hand to the fire to help get things done? So that's Blessing in a
Okay.
nutshell.
So that's what's up. So Nicolette, a lot of people. I appreciate you expounding on it and breaking that down for everybody. But how did Blexit form? I mean, to the people that have a pretty much, a novice understanding of what
Mhm.
Blexit is, or what it, what the movement's agenda is.
Yeah.
How was Blexit started? I believe, I know Candace Owens has something to do with it, but can you
Yeah.
explain to the people about about how Blexit was founded?
Mm. It honestly, it was started at the height of what was going on in the country with the police shootings, on our police and all of that. And it was a lot of the legislation that was going on at the time was being directly fueled by the racial divide. So Blexit, being what it is, literally stands for, at the time it was all about the black exit from the Democrat Party. Literally mean you do not have to be a slave to your history. You no longer have to be a slave to the Democrat Party. Come off of that Democrat plantation and think for yourself. Just because your parents and their parents before them and their parents before them voted Democrat does not mean that you have to anymore. You can vote the way that you think you can vote on your morals and your values. So that was the heart of what Blexit stood for at the time. And at the time when it first started, we didn't even have a grassroots. We didn't have grassroots chapter. And
Right.
then Pierre came in and kind of so, like loved what he saw Candace was doing and basically took it upon himself to
Now you talk
start a
about one
grassroots
second.
yeah.
You're talking about Pierre Wilson, right?
Yes, Pierre
Okay.
Wilson,
Okay.
our
Continue.
director of the whole grassroots everything, and he kind of basically came in and started the grassroots chapters, and from there it's instead of it just being about the Democrat Party, because that was pretty much how it started. What we
Right.
focus on now is the Black exit from victimhood and the victim mentality altogether, because no, we're not doing that. There is no such thing as as being oppressed by a people. Like, our people were already set free, and there are all of our ancestors who chose to stay in this country, because not everybody
Right.
left when they had the opportunity to. They chose to stay in this country. They made that decision. They made a decision for their children, for all of us who are here right now, to be raised
Right.
in America. And this is as much our land as it is everybody else's. And so the idea that somebody is standing over you with they foot on your neck, like
Yeah.
that only goes so far as you allow it to go. And especially like me being a Christian, I don't subscribe to that at all. When Jesus said like he will make your enemies your footstool, that's where I come from. So there ain't no way as a Christian right now
Right.
in this country are you going to tell me that I'm oppressed, because the oppressor is nobody but Satan. So for
There you go.
me, I take everything back to that. And for the most part, the majority of Brexit feels the exact same way. You can't. There is no that we are not victims. We are victors over here, and that's something you will hear every single one of us say repeatedly all the time.
So let's go. Let's go a little bit further back.
Yeah.
Now we know you have explained to us your position in Brexit, but I'm curious to know, how did Nicolette become this young woman that would even want to align herself with a movement? Like, how did the journey start? Because you, like myself, are what people will call a conservative, Christian conservatives. So with that
Yes.
being said, like,
Yeah.
where did it all start?
So the funny thing for me is that honestly, I would say that I know I fall in lines with the conservative right and all of that, but for me it's been God over everything. I'm sorry, I'm walking from the car to to the space, so I'm getting back in light. Give me
It's
one
all good.
second. I'm getting it together. I'm getting it together. Um so the beautiful thing about how I was raised is I was fully raised in the church. My parents raised me in ministry from literally the day that I was born. So all I know is Jesus. All I know is the
Right.
Bible. All I know is Scripture. So for me, I was never Democrat. I never even
Wow.
I wasn't even coming from Alabama. And I know that sounds crazy.
Hold on,
I tell
hold on,
people
hold on.
all the
Time
time,
out,
like,
time out.
listen,
How did you avoid growing up in the black community and not being a Democrat? Because we have always been told
listen.
that the Republicans are racist and they hate you and they can't stand black people.
That's funny when
I'm
eighty
just saying.
percent
I'm just
of the
saying.
people who started the Republican Party were black. The freed slaves, and that back then in that time, 80% of them came together to start the Republican Party. There would be
Talk
no
about it.
Republican Party
Talk
without
about
black
it.
people.
That's a fact.
So, but but this is why we have history programs. um, I managed to not become a Democrat because and I'm 39. I'll be 40 this year. So literally the entirety of my life, the Democrats have done nothing but push every agenda that goes against the word of God.
Couldn't agree
So
with you
if it
more.
went against the word of God, I'm not subscribing to that. And if when I did vote, I always voted based on my morals, because I can't be a
Mm,
Christian who says that my beginning and end is Jesus and then turn around and act like what's happening in the world and what's happening in the carnal and what touches my flesh has more power than what God says that it's supposed to. Everything is so every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess. So if I really believe that, then I'm
right.
not going to subscribe to the things that the Democrats continuously pandered
Mm,
to the black community. The fact that Obama could not decide one way or the other whether he was Christian or Muslim should have told everybody that he was pandering for the black vote, because in the black
right.
community, black America routinely is always either Christian or Muslim. So that's why you never could see him pick one or the other. But that should have told the Black community everything they needed to know. Because if a man will lie about their belief system, he will lie about anything and everything under the sun. The man can't be trusted. So it was situations like that, especially when I became an adult. Because around the time when I really started thinking about paying attention to my vote was when Obama was running for office. And the fact that people kept saying the first Black president, and I'm doing my research and I'm like, wait a minute, this man is mixed. He's not Black. He's Black and white. So he's mixed. He's 50-50. So, and even how
you got one drop of Black blood, you Black, you know.
Listen, but even that, because I was just about to thank you for saying that, because even that though is from the Democrat plantation, like literally textbook slave owner mentality. Why are we taking something that the slave owners used to and literally upheld so they didn't have to take care of their own children that they fathered with slaves? Why would we uphold that lie as part of our legacy? Why would that be the legacy that we choose to hold on to?
I mean, this the same way that we hold on to Planned Parenthood. You know? Why should that surprise Negroes of today?
Big facts.
I'm just saying. But
it really shouldn't.
The floor is yours. Go ahead.
Listen, no, I agree with you, because I could talk about Margaret Sanger. The fact that she literally the only reason she even started Planned Parenthood in America, because even as a eugenicist, they were already doing that in Germany. But the only reason she pulled for them to help her do that in America was because she hated Black people so much. And the only way that you really, at the time, because now they're not slaves anymore, you have to talk them into killing themselves now instead of them being able to do it. Well, how do you do that? One, I'm gonna get the help of the Ku Klux Klan, because I want to be the woman who has their ear. I want to be the first woman in the KKK who has their ear that they allow into their boys club. And she used Planned Parenthood that was started out and called the Negro Project from its inception. And then from that point forward, they literally took the Negro Project and they talked to the ministers and pastors in the Black community and helped them to talk their people into killing their own. And so we're still doing this, but you know, I'm blackity black and Black power and all that, and we care about the Black community, blah, blah, blah. Well, then if we're going to really uproot racism, y'all need to stop feeding it, because you killing your own children and abortion is feeding the racism you say you hate. You sitting up here talking about I identify as Black while you act like your white parent, like your Black parent didn't love your white parent, and your white parent didn't love your Black parent for you to be in this world, but you're going to literally be racist against the person that gave you life. You're going to feed that. No, you're going to feed into that racism that you say you hate so much. Make it, you can't make it make sense. You either hate it or you love it. You can't do both.
You know what's interesting? Like when I hear you speak, and I'm just thinking, like, how does somebody who speak the way that you speak, how do you grow up and be able to navigate in different social circles? Because let's be honest, you know, when you're a conservative, you tend to be ostracized from certain social circles. Your dating pool, it shrinks dramatically.
Big fact.
Let's just call it what it is. You know, so if you're a conservative man, it's a little hard to find someone. And I don't want to have a nihilistic viewpoint, and I'm not trying to ramble. I'm trying to have a stream of consciousness, not to ramble. But the fact is that as a conservative man, as a conservative woman that have certain biblical values and morals, you know, when you don't subscribe to the glaring narrative of today, you're pretty much ostracized. So to make a long story short, like, how are you able to navigate through all of that and to find your place in society? Because again, you do music, you've done acting. Like, how does that, you know, how are you able to do those things?
The funny, honestly, again, I always take it back to scripture. When God said, "If God be for you, who can be against you?" Like I've honestly, the word of God is my end all be all at all times. So for me, Now, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Kind of breaking up a little bit, Nicolette. Ooh. Let's see. She kind of broke up. We're gonna see if she can come back. Good evening. Angel Wings. I'm trying to figure out how I can have you as a mod. Please help me out. I do not know how you can mod somebody. I have no idea how you can. Hey, what's up, Hannah? Thank you for tuning in. Hey, she went out. Just you guys be patient. She's coming back. She has the link. I hope you guys are enjoying the conversation. I know it's Saturday night. A lot of you guys have things to do, but she should be coming back shortly. So, I just appreciate everybody for tuning in. This is a great conversation overall, and you know, just trying to get this platform growing. I appreciate everybody's support. So, what's up, Hannah? Angel Wings, please DM me. Let me know what how you go about modding, for people. Because I'm gonna be honest, that's not really my expertise. So, matter of fact, give me a second. I'm gonna see how she's doing, and I'll be right back. Just give me. Thank you, everybody, for still
Oh,
tuning in. I don't know what happened. This is the only
my
issue that I
internet.
have with going live. That's the only issue I don't
Right.
like about going live. But it's all good. It's all good.
Yep. We
Things
good.
happen.
We good now.
We
We
good.
good now.
So anyway,
But
the last question I asked was basically like, how you're able to navigate,
yeah.
being a conservative and
Yeah.
having these certain beliefs and values. Like, how are you
Yeah.
able to be able to maneuver in the in your field of your professional
Yes.
field. Talk about that.
Um. Honestly, I can't even remember what I was gonna say before, but literally the very first thing that comes to my mind right now is literally knowing who you are, knowing
Right.
your identity in Christ. And I will say that because when you don't know your creator,
Right.
anybody and anything can sway you one way or the other. So for me, being in the circles that I've been in, especially within the industry in LA, entertainment, film, bridal, all of it,
Right.
you tend to you go into it and everybody tells you have to acclimate, right? You have to adjust to how things are already done, because this is the expectation. You just have to fall in line if you want to be successful. And I could have subscribed to that, but I chose not to, because by that time, when I started in the industry, it was already like 2013. At the time, I was like probably like 29, 30 years old at the time. So for me, I'd already been saved. I got saved when I was 14, but still growing up in church, like I've known nothing but God. So I've always
Right.
known my identity. And so it has to make sense to me. You have to prove to me why I should listen to you over what God says about my life. So when you look at what's been going on in the nation with the racial divide, my parents, even growing up in Alabama and them experiencing integration and real racism, like actually having to be in fights and things like that, being talked to directly to your face.
Right.
My parents gave their lives to the Lord and still understood what it meant when with that scripture says that when Jesus said, you must first deny yourself to pick up the cross and follow me. You can't, if you can't deny yourself, you can't even pick up the cross. So for my parents, they took that to heart, and they did not raise me and my sister and my brother to see color. So when people were saying that, obviously what the left is going to do is going to attack that and then tell people that if you don't see color, then you're a racist. It's like, well, no, that's a biblical standpoint, because in God there's no such thing. In God we were all created in His image. So how we see color, God does not see color that way. Obviously, because me being black is not the black crayon. A white person being white is not the white crayon. And then I'm a hair and makeup artist, so that just going into hair and makeup, and I'm a tomboy, martial arts, aggression, violence, football, all of that. That's
She
my
said
whole will.
violence. She said violence.
I mean, it's proclivities. You grow up in the
Yeah.
South. There's only so much you get. There's only so much to do. There's football. You do
Yeah.
backyard boxing.
Right.
You're a kid. You get
I
into
get it.
stuff.
Yeah. I got you. I got you.
So for me, going into hair and makeup and breaking down color theory and understanding everything that goes into a skin tone, it is amazing to me, the amount of colors that I have to use to create somebody's skin tone for their foundation. And I can tell you right now, from a scientific standpoint, it's never one shade of anything. Typically, it takes about 3 different colors. And for a white person, the amount of white that's in there is like a drop. Same thing for somebody black. The amount of black that's in there is about a drop. You have to do things to make it brown, and then you have to add an undertone. So we're talking about 3 to 6 different colors
Right.
on the color wheel that are mixed together to get somebody's skin tone. So this whole racial divide that's based on this color don't
Right.
even make any sense when every single color on the color wheel is in all of our skin tones. So it really don't matter which one is at the top. That's or what you can see. Like that's stupid. So from a logical standpoint, that didn't make sense to me. And then you add in the knowledge and the wisdom from scripture. When God said the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God, that too. So why would I have fear of the world? Why would I have fear of politics? Why would I have fear of a race war? Why would I have fear when it comes to my job? Any of those things. Why would I have fear over those things when God said the beginning of wisdom is fearing Him? So as long as my reverence for the Lord is where it needs to be, everything else is going to fall into place. And it literally has never failed me. In a saturated area, the way I never paid for promo. I set my own. I've always been freelance. I'm a mobile artist, so me getting to set my own prices and people not question it. And I can tell you, the Black community did not support me.
Yeah.
My money didn't come from the Black community, but we blackity black support Black-owned businesses, support black female
Talk about
artists.
that a little bit.
Listen,
Talk
oh,
about that a little bit, because a
the
lot of
amount.
times you hear black people say that we should support black businesses, we should unify with one another based on our pigmentation.
Mm-hmm.
But when I hear that type of rhetoric, I see that there is a huge flaw in that, because in the event that you choose to do that, you have to negate the fact that there are certain individuals that do not share your values and morals.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
expound on
Or
that, like explain that,
honestly,
to the
even
people who
beyond
don't
that,
understand that.
it's values, morals, but also work ethic. Because
Right.
if we're really gonna talk about it, let's just talk about it. The work ethic, and I'm gonna say it because I watched it happen.
But
The work
I would
ethic.
put work ethic. I would put that even under morals, because the Bible teaches
Yes,
it teaches that a man's supposed to work.
yeah. A man that doesn't work don't eat. And it
Exactly.
also tells you that
He's less than
whatever
the
you
infidel.
do, yes, it also
Yeah.
tells you
Second
whatever you
Timothy.
do as unto the Lord.
Right.
So laziness is laziness is the equivalent of a sin, because
Right.
that is
Yeah.
you there ain't when you're lazy, everything that God has called you to do gets in the way of that. And it's another thing that just does not line up with the word of God.
Right.
So like I said, being in a saturated industry, I literally would have people who are like that's pushing that whole black people need to band together rhetoric and narrative, right? But then when they would ask my prices, the way they would tell me that I was
Uh
too
oh. Uh
expensive,
oh. I already know where you about to go. Go
that part. And
ahead.
then can you bring it down? Would barter with me over my price. And then I'm like,
Right.
okay, and I'm like, I'm always willing to help people because I'm an extrovert. I'm a people person. I love
Right.
people. So I'm like, okay, I'm really willing to work with you. This is what my price is. What do you have that you can offer me that lines up with my price? And
Mm.
this is my price, and what they wanted to offer was still way down here. And I'm like, well, that's $100 value. You're asking for my $300 value
Right. Right.
to be on your set for an hour or two, and you want to give me $100 from your value. That's not matching up. This is a numbers thing. This is not matching up. So how you want? So in other words, you want me to support you, but you don't want to support me.
Exactly. No, I totally agree.
You want me to give you a handout, but you're not trying to help me. And that whole and people, especially in LA, really quick to talk about something. You'll get so much notoriety from this. Like we'll put your name on it. I don't want that. I'm a mother. I have two children. That's not my name
Oh,
being
you.
on
Oh,
stuff is
I didn't
not.
know that.
Yeah, I got two kids.
Okay. Okay.
They're 9 and 8. Yeah,
I had
my
no
son is
idea.
9 and my
I've done research. I didn't know. I don't know why. How I missed
oh,
that.
listen, I don't play about my personal life because, like I said, the
Yeah.
violence and the
No.
the Lord, I keep getting I got a phone call. I'm sorry, but
You got
the
to put
violence
that
and
do
aggression
not
is very
disturb.
much there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I
And people
say
would dox you. People would dox you.
my sound is not working out. Jesus, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I
Yes.
can't hear you. Lord,
You can't hear me?
why can't I hear you?
Yeah.
Difficulties.
All right. Can you hear me now?
I
Can you
can't
hear
hear
me?
you at all.
Do not disturb. Like, um,
What in the okay?
the do. Can you hear me now? Look in the chat. The chat.
The chat. Join the. I can't hear anything. Oh Lord,
Yeah. Can you see the chat?
I should have put my do not disturb on.
Bet.
Okay,
Bear with us. Bear with us. She's yeah.
I might have to.
Do not disturb. I will DM you, bro. Bear with us, everybody.
I can't.
Yeah.
I still can't hear him. I'll be
All
right. I'm
right.
gonna leave out and come back.
All right. Having a little technical difficulties, but a lot of times I gotta remind people to put that do not disturb on. I hope you guys are enjoying the conversation. We haven't really got to the meat and potatoes of what I want to highlight tonight, but we're going to get into all of that. I'm glad everybody are tuned in. This is just want to be able to tackle a lot of different issues that has taken place within the black community. This is for individuals who want to think outside of what has been assigned to them. So I appreciate everybody for taking time out on a Saturday night to not just be entertained, but to be enlightened by conversations like this, because there's a lot of things within the black community that we just got to talk about. So let's see if she's good now. Hello, hello, hello. You
Lord,
good?
we good. I
Do
forgive me.
not disturb.
Yes, I
Yeah.
completely forgot. I'm so used to doing IG live, and I'm so sorry. I forgot. That's my bad.
Nah, it's
Uh,
all good. Yeah, a lot of times when you don't put that do not, it'll kick you right out.
yes,
So
immediately did.
always put that on. Yeah, yeah. No,
But yeah,
I was just saying. I was just saying.
yeah.
You know, you mentioned that you're a mother, and
Mm,
you know, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you know in this day and age, people will dox you when
yes,
you know.
yes, and
So
I'm
that's
violent.
it's and
Don't play
unfortunately,
that.
a lot of the violence that you would deal with is going to come from people that share your same
Yes.
pigmentation.
Oh my,
You know,
they are the main
so
ones that say things. They're the main ones
yeah,
that come at me the most. So for me, I'll post my kids from on my stories and stuff from time to time, because I also have family who live all
right,
over the country that I haven't
right,
seen in a while. The only time they're gonna see my kids really is they'll see what's going on the day to day on social media. But for the
right,
most part, I'm not really keeping stuff like that on my page
right.
because I'm violent and I don't play about my kids.
Gotta
And where
rebuke,
I
gotta
come
rebuke that
from,
spirit.
listen, where I come from, I'm a knuck if your butt type female from the south.
Oh no,
So
no, Nicolette.
I will pull up on you.
Yeah,
Like, don't you
yeah,
don't come for my kid. And I had a rule, like, as long as you don't put
yeah,
your hands on me, I won't put my hands on you. But when it comes to my
yeah.
children, oh bro,
Right.
I'm on a hunt. So that's one of the things, especially with the circles I'm
Yeah,
in, and
yeah.
you just can't put anything past the devil. And now we see in our society that people don't have any qualms about coming at you about your significant other or your
Not at
family or
all.
your children. Like, kids are no longer off limits. And I
They're
can't
not.
even believe that we're here right now. Like that, it's crazy to me how people have collectively decided that children no longer need to be protected. But not me, not mine.
Right.
And
Well, you know
I would
what
threaten
I
people.
what I what I notice is like there is there really is like a war against free speech, and there is a war
Absolutely.
against conservatism. You know,
Yes.
I see a lot of conservative. You know, when you look at when people everybody's talking about representation,
Yeah.
representation,
Mhm.
especially black people.
Mhm.
But when you look at the what is dominant as far as the certain rhetoric and certain talking points, there's really no representation of conservatives in
Mm.
mainstream media.
Nope.
Now, with that being said, there is there has been a very hostile sentiment
Mhm.
against conservatives, and I don't think that a lot of people are aware of that. I mean, if you look at
Yeah.
your, when you post something or you have certain dialogues, you will notice that you have these trolls, you have people that try to dox you. So,
Yes.
I find it very interesting for us to be this monolith, like we try to make it seem we're so unified.
Yes.
But when you think outside of the status quo within the black community,
Mhm.
they'll literally try to ruin your life, like
Oh,
with these different Marxist tactics.
yes.
So I
Yes.
just talk about that a little bit, like the host. And listen, as a man, I'm not here to have a pity party. I
Mhm.
know this is par for the course.
Facts.
So that, Christ tell us to be diligent,
That part.
in our faith. So,
Mhm.
but at the same time, I'm just pinpointing, I'm just highlighting something that is very pervasive within society, and
Yeah.
especially within the so-called black community, because
Yes.
there's clearly a line has clearly been drawn as
Mhm.
far as like what black people are allowed to say,
Yeah.
and they have strategically put in certain individuals, and I'll say their names: the Roland Martins, the Joy Reeds, the Tiffany Crosses, and I can go on and on
Amanda
and on.
Seals. I'll say so.
Amanda, exactly. They have put strategically put and every
Where?
and when
Whoopi
I and
Goldberg.
it's not just that black people have their gatekeepers. White people,
Yeah.
they have the David Pacmans, the Destinies, like
Yeah.
the Latino community, they have the AOCs. Like everybody,
Yes.
have their gatekeepers within said ethnic group.
Yes.
But to get to my point, I just want people to know that when you are on this side, like let them know, like when you're on this side, like what is the experience of a young woman or a conservative? What is it like being a black conservative, you know, on a day-to-day basis when you have certain conversations? Could you share that with the people? I didn't mean to be so long-winded.
No. Hey, this is your show. We having a conversation. I'm here for it. The interesting thing that I find as somebody that falls on the conservative right side,
Right,
is that the people that ask the questions the most and the people that will go research the information you give and come back and ask more questions are never other black people. And that's always been very, very interesting to me, because you have the rhetoric out, right, that says that all white people are inherently racist, right? And then even within our side of the community, I'll be honest, there are so many other black conservatives that when you try to talk to them about how they're handling certain situations, how they respond to people who are not the same skin tone, skin color, and all of that, there is still very much a stigma on the, well, why are you asking that? It's like your thought process is not matching your actions sometimes. It's like, you know, that the Democrats and the left and stuff are pandering, and that the division is controlled and orchestrated. You know that, and it's by design. But then at the same time, you have an issue with people who are coming at you when they disagree. That demon, I'm gonna call it what it is. That demon keeps coming up. That, okay, you must be treating me like this because I'm black. And that happens on the conservative side too. But what I find the most of, it's always, the majority of the time, is people who are not black who are asking more questions about certain things, who are more willing to listen to exposure of communist tactics in America, when everybody else is saying that's not what we need to focus on. We need to be focused on this over here, that over there. That's not affecting the black community. But then when you try to tell people how it's affecting the black community, when you're trying to tell other black people that MLK was like the poster child for communism coming into black America, you immediately get shut down, even on our side. And me and Jay, we did a series. I think you saw a couple of the videos, but we did a series in February where we literally talked about that.
I saw those.
And breaking it down as to why we were saying what we were saying about MLK, and the way people lost their freaking mind. They couldn't even hear or take in the information that we were giving them, because MLK is now this legend, this icon, this idol that can't be touched.
He's on par with Jesus.
Yeah. But these are the same people who call themselves Christian. And I'm reading the comments in one video, and I was like, I really wish y'all had that same energy for the fact that this man was blaspheming our God.
Exactly. Yeah.
How you coming at me right now doesn't make sense. Like, you should have that same energy, if not more. Like, the way I'm pissed and why I'm talking about this is because he blasphemed my God, and he stood on the platform with the title on his head, above his head, as a banner, and used that, knowing that's why people was going to listen to him, knowing that's why he was going to be able to get in the doors the way that he did, so that he could push his Marxist communist agenda. Not so he could push the gospel of Jesus, but so he could push what basically is the social gospel.
Right.
Yeah. And did it off the back of my Jesus, who was tortured.
Blaspheme.
But listen, and when I talk about MLK,
totally sacrilegious.
Woo! When I talk about MLK, it literally pisses me off. Reading some of his papers that he wrote before he became a pastor. Listen, when I tell you, like,
pretty disgusting.
I could punch him in his throat, knowing that this is who everybody in the black community has been emulating, to the extent that you even have a divide among the church in the black community. Right. Because now they think that now there's a black church and a white church and all this because of MLK. Not because of the racial divide, but it was because of MLK. And it's like, when you try to tell people this, you get nailed to a cross. And then you have to remind yourself, like, well, we can't not say it. It needs to be known, because if we don't tell people this, then I was talking to my dad the other day, that spirit, it doesn't matter that MLK is dead. That spirit that he opened up the door to is still very much alive. And if we don't say anything about it, that spirit keeps getting to do what it wants to do. And Jesus told us to go out and cast those things out, not to
Exactly.
just let them have free reign. So MLK is one of those things that we have to talk about. So
Yeah.
when you're talking about justice, now people do it from within the lens and the perspective of MLK, and no longer the perspective of the Bible, even within the body of Christ. And I'm bringing that up because the whole thing about being a conservative foundationally started with being a Christian.
Right.
Now this whole conservative is like a political talking point. It's a political title now, when the foundation of it was that we were pure of heart and modest,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
people who strive to be pious, and people who strive to be the hands and feet of Jesus. And now conservative is just the political ideology you might have in the moment that just goes against whatever the liberals have picked to side with that day. And so now all of this stuff is losing its value, including the Bible, because people think that they're reading the same Bible that we are, and they're not. And so when you try to talk to people who look like us, even on our side, who say that they are Christian, this is why there's still such a divide. That whole black church thing blows my mind. The fact that there are people, even on our side, who don't have a problem with abortion just because God gave us free choice.
Those are not conservatives.
No.
I don't
No, no,
believe
no, no, no.
if you are pro abortion, you're not a conservative, because traditional like I tell a lot of people, I tell people all the time, my conservatism is rooted in my belief in Christ.
Yes.
So it's not the other way around.
That part.
So when I talk about when I talk about the different principles and values that I embody or personify, it always revert back to the scriptures. So when I hear people placating to a certain demographic that are on this side, I find it pretty disgusting, and you're pretty much compromising yourself. And I don't want to say any names. I'm usually the one to say names, which that's why they call me the instigator. I don't care what people think about me. I'm good over here.
I heard that.
But I'm not the one to bite my tongue. If I'm wrong about something, I'd rather be correct. But this is not about me. The point I'm trying to make is that there are a lot of conservative, which we will call neocons, new conservatives. Because the word neo it basically means the word new.
Yes.
So to make a long story short, we have I'm glad that you highlighted that there is a faction of conservatives that do not subscribe to the tenets of Christianity, and I'm not gonna. It is what it is. But when you subscribe to a lot of the tenets of the left and the out, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yes.
That's when it becomes so. I have problem. I find it hard to believe that a guy like a John Water or Lowry, I forgot his name. These guys that consider themselves conservatives, or even a oh man, I forgot her name, Anna Emalakobi. She has a weird African name. I mess her name. Anna, and she has a weird last name. But the point I'm trying to make is you have a lot of concern. Amala, there you go, Amala, who's agnostic. And but I think to myself, you're pretty much, because you don't believe in Christ, you're pretty much going off your own feelings, which is what the left does. So you create your own. So you're trying to argue from a point of logic and morality. But yours is really coming from your own, and that's what the left does.
Yours has no foundation. What is the foundation for your moral standpoint? Because if it's not God, then it's not moral. If it's not God, then it's not right. If it's not God, then it's not righteous. So when we're talking about being, that's why I said I don't even. You'll hear me. If you've been following me since November, you probably heard me say I don't consider myself a Christian, a conservative, right, or a Republican. I don't care nothing about none of the titles. I am a Christian.
Yeah, I'm getting to that point myself. Getting to, because a lot of these Republicans showing a lack of character and they're
Oh, bro,
subscribing to a lot of things.
the GOP has been fully infiltrated
It's
by
embarrassing.
by the Communist Party, as
Yes,
the
yes,
Democrat has now.
yeah.
People just don't see it because
I
they
call them
have
Nikki.
not studied communism.
I call them Nikki Haley Republicans.
Thank you.
Newt Gingrich Republicans.
Yeah, that name is forever.
Yeah, Newt
But
Gingrich
that's what I'm
Republican.
saying. When you spend time in politics, that's how I got to Blexit. I did grassroots for at least 3 years on my own, and within those 3 to 4 years, I worked on a congressional campaign as a personal assistant. Hated politics so much I was not trying to do it again, but God pushed me back into it again, and then I worked on another congressional campaign as the campaign manager. So doing that in LA County, I just learned more and more about how the political realm really works. And then I understood why God wasn't letting me step away from it, because there was still more I needed to learn from it. But in being in that is when I realized, okay, like the GOP is just as much as the Democrats. So now that's when I brought up the fact that conservative is not the same thing as Christian. And I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna keep saying that, because it is coming that we are getting to that day where where people's your belief system is going to be put on the line. It's either Jesus or it is nothing, and they are getting people to that, because right now conservative just means Republican. To everybody else, conservative means Republican. So all the Republicans got to do is keep moving the line, which they're already doing with the welcoming of and I have gay friends, so it is what it is. The welcoming of the fact that the LA GOP in California last year was rewriting the definition of marriage to include no longer just a nuclear family.
Shout out to Gavin Newsom.
Yep. Listen, Gavin Newsom makes my
and y'all that black female mayor that y'all have out there.
Yo, she's
an abomination.
When her, I can't even remember her name. The way I loathe her, but I'm gonna just tell you. Look up. I think it's c20.org. That 15-minute, when people were talking about the New World Order is not a thing.
Yeah, I heard.
We already there. LA is a 15-minute, is on its track to be a 15-minute city. She already started the process, because now LA is a part of LA County is a part of the C20 organization, and these are cities all over the world. It is a pact from mayors all over the world that nobody knew about, and they're doing it under the guise of climate change. But again, this is a black woman who ran on the black vote, and even in LA County ain't been doing nothing for black people, and now everybody coming for her now. Y'all should have known that ahead of time. If y'all look at her track record, you would have seen it. But all skin folk is kinfolk, unless you're conservative. Unless you are a conservative Christian, then all skin folk ain't kinfolk. Now you're the enemy. So as long as I think like you, we cool. But the second I don't think like you, now I'm the devil. I'm the devil.
Right.
Make that.
You know what I'm noticing with a lot of these conservatives, because I'm 43 and I've been a conservative since Donald Trump came into office. I was a woke liberal. Hebrew Israelite, believed in all that type of.
Dang, nonsense. You was a Hebrew Israelite?
Yeah, believe in
all bro,
that.
You done did it all.
I'm like I said, I'm up there.
You can speak on everything.
I can tell you, I've been through the Muslim faith, Islam. I've been through it all. Wow. But 2016 is when I became a conservative, because I seen, I seen this man Donald Trump that a lot of people used to love, especially within the black community. Right. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere,
every rap song,
they just loathe this guy, and So I had to, me being a man, and most men, we're just contrarians by nature. I gotta find out why you guys dislike this guy.
Yes.
And I noticed that no one ever had a real fundamental disagreement with him, or they never really had a concrete understanding of the things. And listen, people don't even understand. Donald Trump is really not even a conservative. Like he is what most people call a centrist.
Listen.
So I would support Donald Trump any day over the left or any politician that they have is
Bill Joe. Listen.
Yeah, it's not even up for debate. But what the point I'm
Yeah.
trying to make is that I just wonder why black people don't question these things and how they're able to. Why are we only allowed to think one way and
Mm-hmm.
nothing when you grow up in black culture, when you live in black environments and consume blackness and
Yeah.
black information, it literally shields you off from a lot of viable information that's
Mm-hmm.
going to be conducive as far as you being able to develop properly as a man or a woman. You don't know about you have no idea about Marxism or socialism or
Yes.
you don't know about these
Yes.
things
Because that
and you
happens
don't
in
even
other countries. That's not
exactly and
us.
Teacher Chuck once said something that I'm just shout out to Teacher Chuck. He said communism slash Marxism is the greatest story of the 20th century.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that, there have been so many different philosophers, so-called philosophers, pseudo intellectuals, that's what I call them,
Yeah.
that have sprouted from that line of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels,
Yes.
and they have literally infiltrated Western culture and
Yeah.
culture, like globally.
Yeah.
But we're pretty much desensitized it because you have certain individuals within said communities that are able to subvert their message
Yeah.
and present it in a way that is very palatable
Yeah.
to the masses.
Absolutely.
Like you said,
We
Martin
have
Luther King.
zero
Martin Luther King is a prime
the
example. Go
idea
ahead.
exactly that's my whole point. The idea of critical thinking, and it's almost like, and the crazy part is that like people our age who were raised on having to do research.
Right.
Like we had to do research, we had to do papers, we had to cite where we got our research from. When you get
Dewey
hit a
Decimal
certain
System.
grade, yeah. When you get to a certain grade, listen, you could use the internet, but you had to do magazines, you had to do newspapers, you had to do a book. Like it wasn't just all book. Like it wasn't easy. So I'm like, how is our generation falling for this mess? Like that does not make sense to me. That idea that because it's not happening here, that like it happened in other countries, that's literally and it's funny because coming from that generation, this is why I am the way that I am, which is like why I said it. Like it appalls me that people in our age and our generation, like all of us, are not like this. It doesn't make sense to me, because if somebody, for instance, the communist plan for America, like specifically to infiltrate and take over America, was read into Congress was read into the Senate. It's on Senate record in 1963. Mm-hmm. So when people right now in 2024 is saying that there is no communism is not in America, I'm like, y'all, it must have been in America enough for them to feel the need to read it into the Senate record back in the 1960s. Also 1963. So we literally talking about the same time around the goddamn civil rights movement here. So it's like y'all ain't paying attention to dates, y'all ain't paying attention to years.
I mean, you literally had the communist party, the USA Communist Party, like that was a real thing.
Oh, there was a whole communist party that showed up to a school board meeting in California last year in Orange Unified School District. Even for me, I wouldn't have said that there was no communism in America, but I didn't know that they were rolling so deep that they're just coming out now wearing shirts that say the Communist Party of, I think it was the Republican, the Communist Republic of something or whatever. But they have
it's okay. I mean, Franklin Delano Roosevelt said that it's okay to be a communist. He actually, I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said like, it's okay to be an American and be a communist. I'm not going to hold
but you know
he didn't have no issue with that.
It's because they pull on people's heartstrings. Their whole tactic, if anybody, and this is why I'm like,
Franklin Roosevelt. I got us real quick. Franklin Roosevelt was a socialist to the core. About it, I just had to add that he was a socialist to the core.
See, I would fully believe that because like I said, that was in 1963. So if you go back further, like it's been because when I had Chuck on that series, Chuck was talking about stuff that was said in America in the 1920s. So it's like you can't say it's not here when the exact same things they did in other countries they are doing here. So if they're doing in China when they were pushing their agenda in China, they had two systems. They always it's clear as day. They always do one thing against another. It's always something versus another. So in China, it was red versus black. That is the color red and the color black. They basically pulled two people into these two sides. What are we in America? It's always red and blue. No matter what, you either a Democrat or a Republican. No matter what, you fall into those two things, and they don't let you. You can no longer stay there. But because we have a democratic republic, and not a dictatorship, authoritarianism,
I think it's a constitutional
all of that.
republic.
Constitutional republic. Thank you. Because we have that in play here, it's not going to work as easily or as quickly as it did in other countries. So they have to break us down by layers, which is exactly what they've done. You have Republican and Democrat, and then within Republican Democrat, then you come down below that. Now you have liberal and conservative, and then you come down between that. Now you have straight conservative, gay conservative, right? And then over here you have straight liberal, gay liberal, and then under that now we have transgenders. You have transgender liberals, and then the detransitioning conservatives. It's literally, it's all the whole.
Whoa. Time out. I never heard that last one. Hold on, Nicolette, what are you talking about? The detransitioning conservatives? That's a real. I gotta remember, you're in California, so you're exposed to everything. Like I'm here in Washington D.C. I'm in this a suburb right outside of D.C.
Yeah.
But you a couple of those communities I've never heard of.
But this is what I'm saying. In California, when people say that communism is not alive in the United States, I'm like, that is a lie. Yeah. California is textbook. They are doing everything in California to see if it's going to work in the rest of the country. California is the example. California is the guinea pig. That's all we have been doing and fighting. One of the things in the 40-point plan, not even one, I'm gonna name some. In that 40-point plan that was read onto Senate record in 1963, take the Bible out of schools, get rid of basically the standard religion. So obviously Christianity.
That gotta go. Gotta get that out of here.
And we have to indoctrinate children. We have to get our legislation put into the education system. All of that is in California right now. You have to get rid of art. You have to switch up what art means. So how, for instance, stripper culture. So for music, you're looking at where music, like hip hop, for instance. We'll just take hip hop. Look at what hip hop used to bring the community together, and now they're glorifying the lip gloss. Lip gloss name, pussy this, and I'm sorry, I probably can't say that on this.
It's fine. I'm gonna push back a little on that.
Okay.
And I'm gonna push back on it because yes, they were bringing people together, but they was bringing people together under Marxism.
Yes, but
like Public Enemy.
Yes.
KRS-One. Yeah. These guys were diehard Marxists. I'm like I said, I'm 43. I remember. Yeah. I subscribe to all of that. So these guys. You would see H-Rap Brown in the background in Public Enemy videos, and you would see Bayard Rustin and Paul Robeson. That's the point.
So what I was referring to was hip hop, and
I wasn't trying to nitpick. I wasn't trying to nitpick because a lot of people. Because I know a lot of people like to say that was a golden era of hip hop, and I'm thinking now that I'm older, I'm like, was it?
Yeah. Oh, see, now, also me growing up Christian, my mom and dad didn't let me listen to that stuff. So I'm more so talking about like the inception of hip hop before KRS.
I get what you're saying. No.
Yeah,
you're right.
I'm talking about.
I wasn't trying to nitpick, but I get it.
I love that you said that because you helped my point though. You helped me help show it because the inception didn't have anything to do with all that Marxist stuff. It started. One way it started as just freestyling at parties.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And then it
just to
got really
have fun.
political. It got
Yes.
very political.
Now it turned into then it evolves into now we're
Yeah.
glorifying everything that actually kills our community. Now we're glorifying everything that is a detriment to our community, and then it evolves into like what we have now, where you're glorifying stripper culture and degrading women and degrading yourselves. And now our men are wearing freaking skirts and dresses on the red carpet, and then you got all of our women out here wearing literally nothing on the red carpet except for a G-string and a bra. But this is what they did. That was a communist tactic, and they literally talked about devaluing art and getting to change the perspective of what art is, to devalue really the society as a whole. Communist thing. So when I tell you in LA, you see this junk all the time. It is so hard to tell if a man is, well, no, not for me, but for other people. It's hard to tell if a man is gay or straight, because you got men out here wearing platform shoes and still talking about they straight, and it's just what's trendy right now. Bruh, I don't care if a skirt is trendy. Don't come to me talking about you straight, but you wearing a skirt. Like, you wearing what I'm wearing. Those two.
I mean, we literally have to define what a man is, what a woman is. This is where we at.
Yeah. Again, but see, and that's why, because that's another communist tactic. To basically change the definitions of what everybody's already accepted and make people accept whatever is detrimental and devalues the country as a whole. To break it down, you have to do all of that. You have to tell people that racism, when people are actually being racist, you have to tell people that's not racism. Microaggressions are racism.
That's how futile these arguments is, or how baseless they are, because they literally have coined new terms to describe something that literally does not. And what I notice with black people, and that's why I'll never quit my day job, because I'm just too raw for most people. Black people don't understand. Black people don't understand context. They just don't. Most people in general. Well, I'm gonna focus on the black community because, you know, I'm what you would call a so-called black man, and I grew up in the black community, so and I want to see everybody enlightened. So anyway, what I notice is many black people, they have a problem with they conflate racism with a system of oppression. They don't understand that there is a difference between there being a concerted effort in denying black people or any ethnic group opportunities. When you ask them, where is the concerted effort of a barrier that is preventing you from obtaining a certain level of achievement or success, they can never point. They have to reach back 100 years ago. They can never tell you what is systemically done today that is preventing black people from achieving a certain level of success. And in the event that when they do try to articulate their point, which they do a horrible job, they point to things that they vote for or they lobby for. So, for an example, you said Donald Trump was a racist, right? He's a bigot. He's a white supremacist. Donald Trump in 2017 said he wanted to erect a wall. You said he was a racist. Now you have the illegal immigrants all over these urban cities. This is something that you lobbied for. This is something that you wanted. So now you have to deal with the consequences. Like Thomas Sowell says, that you have choices and you have trade-offs. Yeah. So you would rather to spite you cut your nose to spite your face, so to speak. Yes. Your hatred for the white man is so strong that you allow that hatred to go against your best interests.
You allow that hatred to blind you. Like you can't see straight. It blinds you, but it also confuses your ability to think clearly from a logical standpoint. And anytime you try to break down anything logically, you either going to have a person, and this is one of the things I started doing a while ago, because politics, not just because everything else I started doing with Blexit, but just because politics. Right. When you break things down on a logical basis, you start asking questions. This is how I typically deal with somebody who is on the left or liberal, who are actually willing to come to the table and have a conversation, right?
Right.
You ask
Right.
a lot of logical questions and make them answer those questions. So they have to be willing to say these stupid things out loud that don't make sense. But you have to make them say it in the hope that they will hear how stupid it sounds when they actually say it out loud instead of it just being in their mind, because people just kind of walk around through the day no longer going from
Right.
the standpoint of, don't like flee from peer pressure, like don't let
Right.
nobody pressure you into nothing, like mark your own, like carve out your own path. People don't
Right.
subscribe to that no more. Now it's, you need to get in where you fit in so that you don't, so basically so everybody else don't bully you. So people no longer have this level of confidence
Talk about it.
about
Talk about
themselves,
it.
and there's the self-esteem barrier when we're talking about your thinking, your intellect is so low. People just stick together just to get along, like
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody's willing to deal with the strife. So you have to take things in a logical perspective, but that
Right.
also puts the responsibility on us as those who could see it, conservative, Christian,
Right.
on the right, whatever, to take the time to come to the table with impactful questions instead of just coming to beat people over the head to make it sound like I'm better than you because what you're saying is stupid, it doesn't make sense, and I can see it, so you're dumb. Like that is not going to win their heart or their mind. Like
Right.
if you're a stranger and you coming at me like that, I'm not trying to hear what you have to say whatsoever. Actually, like I could really care less what you have to say. I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for my turn to speak. But it's our responsibility, because we can see and our eyes have
Right.
been open to put things in a way where it can be understood and received. Now, whether that person receives it or not is still on them, but it's our responsibility to try. And you can't come to the table beating people over the head. You have to come to the table with impactful questions that are going to be able to start conversation, not to start an argument, not to debate. Let's have a meaningful
Right.
conversation. People on our side don't want to do that. So when people are talking about the laziness on the left and they don't want to work and they want everything to be given to them, and I'm like, but y'all are just as lazy because y'all are unwilling to help. You're complaining about these things that you hate so much, but what are you doing to help change people's minds though? Like what are you doing with your time that is going to help you make it make sense to somebody else
Right.
that this, how does that make sense to you? If you're looking at somebody and being like, make that make sense, what are you doing to make your side make sense though? If I'm saying make that make sense, if somebody says that to me, I should be able to
Right.
make it make sense. And my point, my stance, my belief system, my thought process, whatever, I should be able to make that make sense. And even
Right.
on our side, people on the left, both sides are, and this is why I say I'm a Christian, because I've been doing this for so long now. All I see now is that both sides do the exact same thing that they accuse each other of. So y'all,
Hold up. I will push back just a little bit. I say the
okay.
left is just much more extreme with it.
Oh, but
You know,
that's
and
because the orthodox
it's
have
more
less.
ubiquitous.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh no,
go
they
ahead. Go ahead.
are, but it's because but they're getting paid for that. So
Right.
because in their mind, if you're getting paid for something, you're automatically going to think like, oh, well, if they're paying me
Yeah.
to do this, I must be right.
You
Because
have an
why would somebody
incentive.
pay me to do something wrong? You see
But
that the
I
heart
feel,
thing.
but you're right. You now when I think about what you just said, you're right because the right does it too because they
Yeah.
have an incentive to just really push back against the left. Whereas honestly, deep down inside, they share a lot of liberal views,
Mm-hmm.
but they know, but the extreme views are just so absurd.
Yeah.
They don't want to align themselves with that, but
Thank you.
they believe in a lot of the tenets of liberalism. They
Yeah.
believe in a lot of tenets of the
That's
you
why I
know,
said the whole
but they
church.
want to but they want to just oppose them because they also have an incentive to continue to push
Yes.
a certain type of philosophy
Oh,
or
absolutely.
rhetoric.
Because everybody
So
wants to be an influencer on social media right now. Now
right.
people will act like they're
Talk.
so
Hey, now we get it.
listen.
Now let's get into it. Now, hey, everybody that left, Y'all, this is what y'all need to hear. This is what we gonna talk about. This is why I do what I do, because I'm not here. Like I said, I'm doing good in my personal life. I'm straight.
Yeah.
I'm not here to try to sway anybody to one side or another. But I'm glad I got you on. I got the right one tonight. I got the right one tonight, because I want to talk about that. That's what I want to talk about, because there is an incentive on the left and the right. And a lot of people would say, and this is what I find funny. I was just talking to your boyfriend last week.
Yeah.
And he was saying, we were saying that, a lot of people say, oh, you're grifting. But if I really wanted to grift, I would go on the left, because there is more of a reward.
Yes.
But that's not to be said that there is a certain reward on the right as well. Now it's not as great. It's not as great as the left, but there is a reward of being able to push certain narratives and just oppose the left. So talk about that. I hope I didn't go ahead.
I love it. I love it. We talking about it. So the whole idea, for instance, like if you notice, like even on the conservative side, because, and this is why I say I don't subscribe to either side. I'm a Christian, so I'm dealing with all of this stuff from the standpoint of the Bible, and I'm looking at the fact that the conservatives, we doing it wrong too. What they do on the left, obviously, like you said, like there is more money there because they have more funding, because they are fully bringing to light every single communist talking point that is necessary for them to get the job done for the agenda that they are pushing forth, right? Yeah. So they have all the funding in the world for that. They can mobilize.
But hold up, not just that. But it's not just that, Nicolette. They literally control the language.
Yes.
They control the media.
Yes.
They everything they have, they control everything. We really don't have a voice in mainstream media. Like they personify what most people would call cool. Mm-hmm. We on the right, we don't have that. So it's an uphill battle.
So what we do on the right to what they combat that with? They keep putting these people who you would deem either a genius or super attractive, and then those people get put on a pedestal on the right. If they're saying that if their belief system, let me not say belief system. If their ideology is on point, then if they're already an influencer, if they have a following and they start saying this, oh my God, everybody jumps on that person. But on the one thing though, and this is where the conservatives, they keep getting this junk wrong. They'll do that, and when somebody says agrees with a conservative talking point or whatever, one time on one thing, and completely ignore anything else they've ever said or done. This person could be a straight up IG model. Whole platform of her influence could have come from being an IG influencer. Literally, most of the pictures on her page.
She said
one thing. Oh my God, because it's like, oh well, if she's saying this is true, and look, this person who has like triple digit thousands of followers is saying this. It's like, y'all need to stop. Y'all make us look stupid again with the dilution. It's diluting down what it actually means to be conservative. But that's what we do on the right. We keep putting all the wrong people on a pedestal when it comes to being an influencer, and then those people just keep saying whatever they're told, saying whatever needs to be said. So they keep getting said influence that people have started pushing them from the conservative side. They literally, when I tell you, so many of these people are not actually conservative.
I already know.
But the influence that they got, right? The doors that opened up for them because they said one goddamn conservative thing and they happen to be slightly attractive. They're not about to let that go because pride is pride and money. Yeah,
and they're trying to latch on to anything that will give them some sort of ammunition to go against the left.
Yeah.
So and then Kodak Black said this. So we're going to use that to go again. Like you're trying to, it's like you're trying to fight the left at their own game, and you're going to lose.
Yes,
Because let's
that's
be
why the
honest,
whole thing.
for you to fight the left at their own game, you're going to have to be extreme, and you're going to have to go hard
Yes,
with it. You're
and
going to have
they
to
need to
you're
stop
going
doing.
to have to lie. You're going to
Yes,
have to be deceitful. You can't there's no in between.
which
You're
people
going
have
to you're going to have to go all the full
compromise.
throttle.
Compromise.
Because these guys are full-fledged Marxists.
Yes,
They believe, and if they don't know it, they subscribe to
yes,
Marxist ideology. When Karl Marx even said it's okay to even lie to push your agenda, he said
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You push it. The problem with the left and that people who try to play that game, the left believe that. And if you look at these guys, I see the trolls that troll me, troll you, troll your boyfriend, Jay. What people don't understand that the Marxist believes that the ends always justify the means.
That
So
part.
they'll go to any extent
Yes,
to push their agenda. When
yes,
you look at organizations like the Black Panther Party, these were a group of individuals that were violating men and women sexually. This is what they were doing
listen.
because these guys, they felt betrayed them, or they did not agree with their
Yep.
ideology. So they had no problem eliminating these individuals. So when you see certain individuals out here that's pushing this type of rhetoric, they don't care. They'll go to any extent. They'll lie
Yes,
because their objective is to shut you down, and
yes,
to silence you. So
yes,
if I have a platform, if I have an audience, if I have if I have influence on the masses, I'm going to use that as the
yes,
communists, as the Marxists. I'm going to
yes.
use that as leverage to dispel anything that you're trying to
Yes.
bring forth.
And
And
so, and
that's
then we
what
fall into the same. We fall into
and we
the
try
same
to
boat.
play that game, and we
Exactly.
can't play that game. Not
We
no, we
fall
can't
into
play
the
that
same boat.
game. We can't play that game the way that they play it. We
Right.
just can't.
Because it does. It requires compromise, because and the reason it requires compromise is because you'll end up, like I said, you'll end up putting people on a pedestal and
Right.
pushing all this influence towards this person because
Right.
they said one thing, but instead will not give any sort of influence to the people on the ground level who are doing the research, who can actually
Right.
teach people the things that we say that we believe
Not
in.
famous
Really
enough.
break it
They're not
down.
famous enough.
No, you need to have enough of a following for us to back you. You need to have enough.
Exactly.
We need your numbers to be here before we'll give you a show. We need your numbers to be here before we'll fly you out, before you can speak, before you can go here,
Right.
you can go there. No,
Talk about it. Talk
that
about
part
it.
you
Talk
have
about
to
it.
you have to already have people. You already have to have influence over people within the culture, and I'm gonna
Right.
just say that within the culture, before even on the right, they'll give you even more of a platform, because
Yeah.
their whole focus is more so on just trying to beat the left at their game instead of actually teaching people what they need to know. But
Right.
the information that's needed, that people need to know, they're not checking for those people. They're not checking for people like you. They're not checking for people like Jay. You know what I'm
Thank
saying?
you.
That actually
Thank
break
you. I
it
appreciate
down. They're not
that.
checking for people like Chuck and Blanche. You know what I'm saying? They're not in
We gotta do theatrics. We gotta show up in our
yo,
underwear with the aluminum foil hat on and doing backflips, and I mean, it is what it
yo,
is. I'm not. I When you
yes,
think about the word compromise, the word compromise it basically means that you're not going 100% as far as your effort and
yes,
your agenda,
yes.
and they don't. The left doesn't care. They're going to do
It does.
whatever they have to do.
Yes.
So if you're compromising, you're only 50%. You
Mm,
can't beat them trying to be 50% and try to hold on to your values. That's
listen.
why I tell conservatives and Christians and believers, we got to be 10 toes down. Like Chad says all the time,
Listen.
you have to be principled.
Yes.
And that is the problem that us on this side, we're having a problem. And I
Yes.
want to segue because this is a great conversation. I really appreciate this, Nicolette.
I love it too.
Thank you. Candace Owens is, one of the founders of Blexit,
Yeah.
recently has got into hot waters because of a lot of the remarks that she has said, which I literally have no problem with. I
Right.
disagree with Candace on certain things, but for the most
Same.
part, she has a lot of influence. a lot of people don't want to say this, and there's no shade against Candace. I like Candace. I believe that she was strategically picked because of the things that she
Thank
says.
you, bro.
And
you can see.
I'm going to be
I knew I was gonna
honest.
rock with you.
I'm going to be honest.
Swear to God.
Candace is somewhat compromised to an like she has a lot of liberal views.
Yeah.
Now, but she says the way that she's able to articulate her points and be able to espouse her views and convey her message. It is in a very polarized. Listen, this is no shade, and I hate to even preface this because people are gonna take what I'm saying. They're gonna run with it however they see fit.
Yeah,
anyway,
they'll chop it up if they want to.
they're gonna. But what I'm saying is, Candace came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they saw this woman that was speaking differently from what you see a lot of young black women. I believe I'm maybe 10 years older than Candace Owens. And they saw her, and I'm like, "What? Wow! There's no black women that speak like her."
Yeah.
And they were able to platform her and put her in a position. When I say that, I still think overall Candace Owens is a net positive, but I see a lot of, because she is the voice of the conservative movement. I'll say she's a strong. She's a powerful voice in the conservative movement.
Oh, absolutely.
I believe that I have seen some of her tactics that I'm gonna be honest, I don't disagree with, but I realize I'm starting to see a little pandering. I'm starting to see it. I'm starting to see it, and I just don't feel like I don't think that I don't feel like that's the way to go.
People don't.
That's not the way to go.
It's not, but because it's still compromise. If you're when you lower yourself to the standpoint of pandering to anybody for anything, it is never worth it, because that goes back to not knowing. At the beginning of this, I literally said you have to do this, to do what we're doing, you have to know your identity in Christ.
Exactly.
And that has to be so set that there ain't no way anybody can come to you and ask you to do anything that is going to compromise your faith. If your foundation is not set in stone in God, you are going to compromise. It is just a matter of time, because pride goes before a fall. Everybody wants influence. Everybody wants to be able to influence people. Everybody wants to be popular. Everybody wants to be listened to. The devil knows us too. He doesn't know us the way God knows us, but he knows enough about our sin. Right. He knows how we sin. So he knows exactly what he needs to do to get us to compromise. So if your identity is not set in the foundation of the word of God, you are going to compromise. So when you start doing things like pandering, that lets me know that there is a level of insecurity somewhere in your life. Yeah. It just is. So if you're insecure to the standpoint that you could lower yourself to pander to people, that then my next question, because I can see the pandering, why are you doing that? What is what is your agenda? Because if you're pandering, that's because you have an agenda. And if you have an agenda, that means that you are hiding something. What are you not saying? What are you not showing? What is going on behind closed doors? Because if everything was out in the open, you wouldn't need to pander. That's a fact. If everything was out in the open, people would just listen to you on your own merit. If everything was out in the open, you wouldn't feel a need to tap dance. Doesn't matter who you tap dancing for. You tap dancing for somebody. If it's not for God, it's for Satan. So you wouldn't feel a need to tap dance. So you're right. What is the agenda? Because an agenda literally means that something's going on behind closed doors, and you're not fully saying what it is. And that's why, and like I said, I keep taking all of this back to the Bible, because nobody has the answers. The right doesn't have all the answers, even though they think they do, because they think we can see the communism, we can see the Marxism, we can see the race war, we can see the orchestration, we can see the elite. So we must have all the answers, but we don't. If your answer does not come down to the fact that Jesus Christ is King, and that
There
every
you
knee
go.
shall bow and every tongue shall
Yeah,
confess that he
yeah,
is Lord. If that is not
yeah,
your answer, if that is not your solution to everything, if your answer is not to first deny yourself, that's not just talking about reparations.
yeah.
That's talking about the cross. That's talking about forgiveness. That's
Right.
talking about loving others the way that you want to be loved. That's talking
Talk
about treating
about it.
your
Bring it
neighbor the way
home.
that you
Talk
want to
about
be
it,
treated.
Nicolette. Go
So
ahead.
what are we
Yeah,
doing here? You can't,
yeah,
the
yeah.
people on the conservative side, you that whole talking down to people or thinking that because you know more or can see more than them, then that gives you some sort of platform to trash other people because we've deemed them dumb. But supposed to be a Christian, but have now come to the term where you
Yeah.
are now saying that these people don't deserve to be saved. Because last time I checked, God said that our mandate as a Christian, as a disciple of
Right.
Christ, was to seek and save the lost. And we don't get to pick and choose who that is. So
Right.
at the end of the day, your end all be all should always be taking everything back to scripture.
Right.
And if you can't handle people and talk to people with love, God is going to hold you accountable to how you treat other people, even your
Right.
enemies. Because
Right.
there is literally a scripture that tells us to pray for them.
No, no doubt. It's
Like,
and it also tell us, if you see somebody in error, you know, if you don't correct them, he's going to require that blood on thine hand. He's going to require
listen,
that blood from you. So,
free.
a lot of times when people hear us, what the left has done because they control the language,
Exactly.
and unfortunately, a lot of people on the right, they try to fight them at that game
Yeah.
because the left control the language. We're now coming in dangerous territory where, in the event that I disagree with you, that means I hate you.
Yes.
And that is the problem. That is something that nobody wants to talk about. And I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest, even the right, they have a hard time articulating their thoughts and articulating their message,
Yes.
because they are worried about possibly losing a certain fan base. They are worried about
Exactly.
losing. They have friends that are part of the LGBTQ.
Yeah.
You can be cordial with somebody
Mm-hmm.
within the LGBTQ community or any community. I'm just using them
Yeah.
as an example.
Yes.
I'm just using them as an example. But you don't have to hate them.
No.
Like, for example, myself, I had a uncle that was gay. He passed away back in 2008. I love my Uncle Walter.
Right.
I never had no issues with him personally. Now,
Yeah.
of course, my faith and my views, it contrasts his lifestyle.
Yeah.
But again, he never pushed that on anyone, and I always love him. I still love him to this day. I still miss him. So the
Yeah.
point I'm trying to make is that, like, I believe that the right, we have to start standing 10 toes down in what we believe in, and we
Yeah.
got to stop compromising. Like, if somebody,
Yo.
there is certain words that will literally shut down conversations that the right are just, they're afraid of. They're afraid
Yeah.
to be called. They're afraid to be called, like, racist.
Yes.
They're afraid. Black conservatives are afraid to be called coons.
Yes.
If you really are 10 toes down in what you believe in and your principle, I don't care what you call me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care that you call me a coon or Uncle Tom or whatever, because at the end of the day, can you articulate your argument in a way that is going to make sense, that is going to make logical sense as a full adult, male or female? In the event you cannot do that, you're in no moral position to say anything about me. I'm not going to give credence or reverence, or you're not going to get me emotionally tied up in a conversation about logic when you're being very disingenuous. If we can't agree that 1 + 1 is 2, what are we really talking about?
Right.
So
Right.
I just don't
If you're not
understand.
coming out your mouth to say 1 + 1 = 2, and you're just saying, well, this person will sometimes, depending on who you're talking to at this certain age, I used to think 1 + 1 was 5. Well, that's not what we're talking about right now, though. We're talking about what the fact of the matter is. Is
That's
this
it.
a fact or not? Like,
That's it.
it
And you don't have to be a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist to be. me and Jay had when we talked yesterday, he said something that really stood out to me. And I'm pretty sure you being this lady, he said that he was like the left argument. I never realized this, but he brought it home with this. He said the left argument always falls flat on its face because it's always it always contradicts itself.
Yeah.
So for an example, you'll say, "Oh, I'm for abortion," but then you support Planned Parenthood.
Right.
That's an example. That like I can go on and on, but like their argument, it always, when you argue with somebody on the left, it always it's easy to dismantle. And I'm not trying to put myself in a position as if I'm just smarter.
I'm gonna even help you with even the abortion. I'm gonna give you another one on that topic.
Oh, I had more. But
they support abortion.
Go ahead.
Right? They support abortion, but can't stand for they can't stand deadbeat fathers.
Makes no sense.
Hate child support, but also support abortion.
Right.
So what?
Yeah.
That's
a contradiction.
Right. If the man not paying child support is like the worst thing ever. But yes, girl, kill your baby.
Kill your baby.
Kill your baby.
Or we need soldiers to go up against the white man. We need soldiers.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep aborting our future soldiers, lawyers, doctors. We don't have the numbers.
We don't have the numbers. Complaining. But the black vote don't count because we don't have the numbers. Stop killing your baby.
Stop killing your baby. But hold up. Let's not even stop there. 97% of other black people are killed by other black people. So when I ask them, where is the oppression, they can never they'll say this. White people do it too. White people do it too. 90%. I'm not saying that they don't.
Right.
The difference is white people are not saying that they're oppressed. They'll say, well, they're not oppressed. I know they're not. You say that they're oppressed. Yeah. I told you since 1973, almost 20 million black babies have been aborted. In cities like Washington, D.C. and New York, more babies are being aborted than being born. So let's fact it. So I gave you that data and statistics. You can look that up. That is a fact.
Right.
Now let's factor in the black on black genocide. So I'm finding it hard to understand where is the oppression from a systemic white government. Right. I'm trying to find that. Like, help me pretend I don't know anything. Right. Help me find it, and they can never articulate that to me.
Yeah.
It's a moot point. We're at a moot point, or they're just their jaw is just dropped to the floor.
Yes.
I'm just like, I don't get it.
That's why people who can have conversations like that with people on the left is so important. That's why I said it bothers the crap out of me to my core when people on our side are so lazy in wanting to give information. When I tell you, I have actually had conservatives tell me, if I did the research myself, why can't they? What does that have to do? I'm sorry. What does that have to do with anything? Are we trying to change their mind or not? Like, what are you saying? So, like, you're not gonna give the information because they don't want to look for it themselves. And then again, like I said, if somebody, especially if I know they're Christian, so help put that within the bounds of scripture for me.
Exactly.
So are you
exactly there? You go. Talk about that.
That because people don't want to pick up the Bible themselves, you're not going to preach the gospel to them. Right. You're not going to share the word of God with them because
Christ didn't do that. Christ didn't do that. The gospel. He went. The gospel went out. It was for everybody. Yes. For the Jew and the Gentile.
Yes. For the Jew and the Gentile. So you can't. If God didn't tell you to handle people that way, when it's literally the difference between life and death, their soul in hell or heaven. Right. You think God really gonna back you? Like how you're back on this stance that like because this person won't go do the research themselves. Well, I'm not going to do it. I didn't ask you about it. Don't matter. You can't make them do anything, but you can give them the information. What they do with it is what they do with it. What are you talking about? You just not going to give it. So are you trying to save the country or not? What are you doing? Why are you here? Why are you here? Why are you here? You are helping nothing. You are pushing forth nothing. You're not in no type of fight. You're just here to be here. Like, I can't.
That's part of our identity. That's literally a part of the Black identity. Man, I don't care, man. People they gonna say what they want to say. But part of being Black is being able to subscribe to this perpetual victimhood. Like, if you don't subscribe to that people don't understand that there is a list of things that you have to subscribe to be considered Black within a Black. And if you don't, so if you're not a Democrat, if you're a Republican, if you're conservative, you're not really Black. That's why when I was watching Candace Owens, and this was a litmus test that I observed, I noticed when they was I don't know if you was able to check out the Breakfast Club interview that she did recently. So they gave her a lot of quote unquote questions that most people would say that this, if you're able to answer these things, you're deemed Black. And I just find that I find that very alarming that there is a certain criteria that, there is a template as Black people that you have to follow. Yeah. In the event that you don't follow this, you are going to be ostracized and cascaded from the social circles.
Yeah. They're gonna try their best to ruin your reputation.
Yeah, they're gonna try to ruin that. Like, that's like, they don't care about the truth. They care about Blackness. And I don't care about Blackness. I don't care. I care about Christ. I put my faith is above my pigmentation. Yes. I don't care nothing about this. This is just an exoskeleton.
This is gonna be ash. Bugs gonna eat this all up.
Exactly.
With us.
But they'll take that. But Nicolette, they'll take that and think that, oh, you hate yourself. And I'm like, no, I just don't subscribe to these Marxists, to this racial idolatry, these Marxist beliefs and this racial idolatry that you subscribe to. I'm not ashamed of I love my skin, because I would have loved myself if I was white. I would love myself if I was Asian. Yeah.
Because this is the skin God gave me. God picked
That's it. I don't know why. I don't know why he gave me this.
That part.
I don't know why he made me Black. I don't. It's whatever. I don't care.
It ain't that deep.
It's not that. It's really not that deep.
It's literally skin deep.
Exactly. So, when I hear these people, I find it very interesting that you guys call yourself Christians, but you're out here preaching the social gospel. You're out here preaching liberation theology, and I'm like, you have literally allowed your churches to be infiltrated with social justice warriors. Like, that's not the gospel. Running out here telling people that the white man is the devil, that he's your enemy, that you need to the fact that Black people think that all white people stick together, it tells you that most Black people, I don't think they really travel. Like, white people, there is a segment of white people that other white people, they look down upon. Yes. Like, the go to Waterloo, Iowa.
If you spend time in the South, you would see that.
Exactly.
The trailer park
trash.
Bruh, when I moved to Cali and the stuff that I was hearing in Cali, I was like, I'm sorry, what white privilege is y'all talking about? Because
there's no such thing.
I know a lot. I know a lot of people who are white who did not have that. I was more privileged than they were. So how do you understand what y'all talking about? I'm confused. Where that come from? Like, make that make sense. Like, have y'all only lived here? Like, did y'all ever been to the South? No? Oh, okay. Well, then you should really go visit, because that's literally not the case. To be honest with you, I never personally experienced racism in my life. I haven't. Right? Same here. I grew up in Alabama, and I tell people this all the time. But the racism I did see was Black kids literally tormenting white kids because their parents, who were still bitter about slavery, even though they didn't live through it,
Right.
raise their kids with that racist mentality. Racism, the way we got from racism is taught to racism is inherent is crazy. Like
It's
within a
crazy.
generation, like
I
not
agree.
2, 3, 4, like that happened within a generation is so crazy. But I know that racism is taught because I watch some black kids have such a chip on their shoulder that a white kid, anything a white kid said, that they would turn it into some type of what they call a microaggression
That was me.
and lose their mind.
I grew up that way, growing up in black. Like you were fortunate. You
Yeah.
were very fortunate because
Praise God.
I was pretty much a racist up until I was 35, 36 years old.
Dang,
Now,
what?
I'm from Washington D.C., a predominantly black city.
Yeah.
The Washington D.C., I believe they had the third chapter of the Black Panther Party. So there's a huge,
Oh, dang.
there's a huge Black Panther movement that was here in Washington D.C. You have the Hebrew
Wow.
Israelites, you have the black
Yeah.
Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
So I consume what you see today is not how I grew up.
That's
like,
God.
God had, the Lord rescued me out of that.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Like
Oh, God.
the way that I am today was not the man that I grew. Was not the man that was groomed. I wasn't groomed
Yeah.
this way. I was groomed to believe that all white people were racist, and I was in the military. And when I look back at, even like you made a point that when you talk about you never experienced racism. What I noticed when I look back, the times that I thought white people were being racist, it was just them disagreeing with me. That's all it was.
Yes.
And what I noticed with black people is, in the event that a white person disagrees with them, they are deemed racist. White people are not allowed to disagree with black people.
Right.
If they, in the event that they do, they're racist. But so if black people can say whatever they want, can treat you in any way, you'll accept that as the norm.
Yes.
But a white person has to affirm everything that you believe. In the event that he doesn't, he's a racist, and this is what I call black privilege.
He's trying to be a white supremacist in that moment. He's disagreeing because he's a white supremacist.
And exactly.
He's trying to silence your voice. What?
And that's the way. That's how most black people think. That's just a fact. I argue with black people all the time, and when you talk to them, they'll give you certain examples, but I will ask them, does that prove that he's racist? Like, so if a police officer pulls you over for speeding, and you are speeding, how does that make him racist? Well, he wouldn't do that to a white. You assume that.
White people don't get pulled over for speed. I know grips of white people that get pulled over.
Exactly.
Like
and this is where their argument falls flat because when you consume black content, when you consume black information, I know it sounds harsh to people when they hear these things. When you consume the Dr. Umar, the Elijah Muhammad, the Tariq Nasser, when you consume this rhetoric all your life, you believe that these things are true.
Yes.
But your observable reality shows you otherwise.
Yeah.
So it's not hard to believe when you say that you're a woman from Alabama that it's not me at my age now. That seems very believable. Like I'm not surprised because when I think back in my life, the times that I thought a white person was being racist, they wasn't. They just disagreed with me. That's all it was.
I love that you said that that doesn't surprise you, because let me tell that when I tell people the story of my life, the hatred, and I'm like, how y'all mad at me for the way I grew up? Like, this, it's not my fault that these were my experiences, but those conversations are why I realized why God made sure that those are my experiences, because I would be in the middle of conversations like that, where somebody needs to cut into the line from the pit of hell that a whole ethnicity of people are the only people on the planet that's racist, and that their sin somehow is inherent, and the sin that they have nobody else will ever have. Like, that's their sin, and
like
only
they're predisposed to act in a certain way. And
and if it was, and I'm like, I'm so glad I had these experiences so I can tell people That is absolutely not true. So everybody in the vicinity doesn't think that they need to subscribe to that because that person is black and
Right.
slavery happened in America. Because no matter what, when a black person is speaking, if they say anything about slavery, no longer can anybody else in the room speak against it because slavery happened in America. And it's like, yes, that happened, but slavery didn't only happen in America. It happened to the black people in America, but slavery didn't start. It
Happened to the Irish. It happened to the Mongolians. I can name. It happened to the the Egyptians. I can go on and on. Like many people all over the world, like slavery was a practice.
Like literally, exactly. If you were but that's every single culture back in the day. If you were a prisoner of war, you were a slave. Period. Like you didn't have no rights. You was not treated as a person. They definitely didn't treat you like a citizen. Like you lived in a cage. So this idea that of how slavery was in America, I'm like, that is literally not new. That just happened to black people in America.
What they don't understand is, what a lot of us don't understand is, black people, the way that they receive their understanding on history, let's just be honest, it comes from entertainment.
Yes.
It comes from entertainment, and it comes from media. They don't experience these things on a day-to-day basis. Does it have no one's let me say this one last time for people who don't understand. Racism, I'm not saying that racism does not exist. Racism is a practice racism is a certain behavior that is practiced by everybody.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is institutional racism against black people does not exist. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So with that being said is, many black people, the way that they receive their information, it's through media, it's through movies, it's through Roots. Alex Haley literally wrote a book which was a book of lies.
Yeah.
And black people have ran with that. You've seen 12 years as a slave, and you think that but when you talk to some black people that grew up in Alabama, they'll tell you, nah, I ain't go through that.
Yeah.
A lot of them would tell you, a lot of I'm not saying that does not, some of them didn't, but there is a huge populace of black people that grew up, baby boomers.
Yeah.
That would tell you, like the Jesse Lee Petersons, who's from Alabama.
Yeah.
And he says, I never experienced that.
Yeah. Me either.
My family is from a rural town
my
family's from a rural town in Virginia, and they all came to Washington D.C. post the King riots in 1968. They didn't experience that. That wasn't their experience. So the point I'm trying to make is, man, you're trying to attach a certain behavior to a group of people that you think hate you.
Yeah.
But that these people as a whole, they don't think the way that you were taught.
Right.
And you see that white people not running around calling black people nigga and this, like, you're not seeing that. That's not the norm.
The way, when I tell you, I didn't see that in Alabama. I'm like, when people, I literally got into it. So working in the industry. So I also am an actress, right?
Right.
And I got booked for a role on the last season of Insecure. Never watched it because I'm not watching anything that's blackity black because I already knew where that was going.
That ain't just blackity black, that's wokety woke. Too.
Oh, that too. Yeah, right? And then it's like we need to have our own, because white people always portray us blah blah. And then when we do our own, we do the same thing. So y'all just didn't want white people portraying us as all this crappy stuff. Y'all just wanted to be the ones that portrayed us as the crap. Okay, yeah. But so I booked that role. Didn't know it was for Insecure. God tricked me into it because I didn't find out until I got it what the show was for, and I had to pray about taking that role. But when I was on set, I think we was on set. We were practicing for the episode we were shooting for like a week. Wow. So didn't say anything about me voting for Trump, none of that stuff. It was during COVID, so everybody was talking about the science behind the vaccine and COVID and all that. We would just have conversations, just conversations. Nobody asked me who I voted for. Like that literally never came up, and I was so interested that didn't come up, right? Because it's LA during COVID. Everybody used to ask that question. So I guess because I'm black, they just assumed I was kinfolk. Well,
Right.
we done had really good conversations for at least 3 days. Everybody been getting to know each other, having fun, cracking jokes. Man, we sitting at that lunch table on about that fourth day. We sitting at lunch, and the table behind me, I hear this girl say, Alabama. Oh no, I can't go to Alabama. Like, I'm too
still
scared to
lynching
go
people
Alabama.
down
It's
there.
not safe. And I turned around, I was like, I'm sorry. What you mean Alabama not? Because we've been talking, so we have everybody. We got our report. And I turned around, I said, "What you mean Alabama's not safe? What do you mean? Why are you scared to go to Alabama?" She was like, "Girl, how racist it is out there. Like, I'm not just racist everywhere. I'm not trying to go to Alabama and like I might not come back. I might be killed." I said, "Who told you that?" And she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "No, for real. Like, where did you hear that from? Because I was born and raised in Alabama, and most of my family still live there. So I'm trying to figure out where you feel like you can't go because it's black." You know what she said? She said, "Where it be stuff all over the media talking about how racist Alabama is." I said, "Well, have you ever been?" She was like, "No." I was like, "So why?" And by this time, everybody done got quiet because
she's lying.
you have a black person talking about how Alabama's not racist. So everybody done got quiet and everybody gathering around. They listened to the whole conversation. And I went off. I'm like, and I literally said, real racist people hide in Alabama because they are scared. They didn't have enough money to move up north or to move out west. So they got stuck.
And they have no power. They have no power.
No.
They know,
no
like the people, they're talking about these neo-Nazis or these white militia groups. This is trailer park trash that is literally screaming in a forest where no one
like
they
have eyes tight people. They
exactly
they little corners, these little towns that literally have like a post office, a grocery store, and maybe a gas station.
Exactly. No one can. There are no threats.
Out of it. Look, we didn't play that, and you can't. Those people don't come out where everybody else is because if they mess around and talk crazy to a black
I'm
person,
so glad you said that.
Listen, everybody, and I've watched it happen growing up as a kid. That's what I watched happen. Anytime somebody racist fixed their mouth to say something racist, everybody in a restaurant stood up, and not the women, the men. All the men, not just black men, the white men, the Asian men, the Hispanic men, all the men in the restaurant stood up like ready for the smoke. So no, real racist people in the South don't come out to play, at least not in Alabama because we didn't play that. Like that's not something you wanted other people to know. Yeah, that's something you kept under.
White people look down. White people they look down on white people that are racist like that. Like most white people. They don't want to have nothing to do with white people who think like it is an embarrassment.
Yes,
it's an embarrassment to most white people.
They hated slavery too, and I have to tell people. I have to again with the logical questions. I'm like, so who do y'all think helped Harriet Tubman? Like, who do y'all think was the Underground Railroad? Because it wasn't black people. The Underground Railroad was in the South, so black people didn't have land. So who were the people that were the Underground Railroad if they weren't black?
Exactly.
There was white people. There were white people who put their life on the line. White people with children who put their families on the line to help get black people free. That was all in the South, babies. So
I mean, John Brown, like he literally died. He was one of the abolitionists. Like you had many individuals like him who died trying to protect the best interests of black people. Like black people, we make it seem like there was a war between blacks and whites, and with blacks defeated the whites to get their freedom. Like the way that we talk, I'm like, how do you think that we got our freedom? It was because blacks and whites fought together to end slavery. Yeah. Now we can go into the specifics, into the minutia of what took place and but at the end of the day, it was black people and white people fighting side by side to abolish slavery. That's how it was eradicated in the United States. There's no way around that. You can't wiggle your way out of that.
There was no Harriet Tubman without white people. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that Daryl Davis, a black man, a black musician, at that, where it was able to talk KKK members out of being a KKK member. How are white people inherently racist if those white people hung up their robes and denounced the racism?
Right.
Like these are things that really happen during times when
Right.
y'all are saying that it shouldn't have. And y'all are trying to tell me that right now racism is worse now than it ever was. Baby, where? Show me proof.
They can't.
I have proof of the opposite. So show me your proof as to what you're trying to tell me and have me believe is actually real. Because I grew up in the South. I was born and raised in the South. I want my kids to be raised in the South. The South can't be that racist if I'm still trying to take my family back there. If my family still lives there. Like maybe 90% of my family still lives in the South. Texas, Arkansas, Georgia, and the majority of them are in Alabama. I have some up north, but yeah, 90% of my family is in the South. Why in the world, if the South is so racist, why is my family not trying to get out?
What Jesse Lee Peterson say, my boy Jesse, they bought into the lie.
Yo,
they bought into the lie. Like he put it. I mean, you can't really put it. I can't put it any other way. Like that pretty much just sums it up. We bought into the lie that we are not, that white people have a predisposition of, they're predisposed to just hating black people. They're inherently racist, and it's unfortunate because I look at a lot of us, that to me that is an inferiority complex. A lot of us have a baked in inferiority complex. And I'm not, when I talk like this, it's not to shame black people. It's not to come down. It's try to get black people to think outside of what that they're exposed to. Because growing up in a black, you were fortunate, like I said.
Yeah.
But when you grow up in most black communities, this is the mentality that is assigned to you, and it's never challenged. It's never like when I mean it's never challenged. Within your said social circles, right? It's never challenged. Right. Now you'll hear a Jason Whitlock. Yeah. You'll see a Jason Whitlock, and he'll go again. But that's somebody that you see on TV. But you have already been conditioned. You have already been conditioned and programmed to think of him as a coon. The reason why I know that because I used to look at him as a coon. I used to look at Clarence Thomas as a coon. So when another thing that black people don't understand that I speak with. They act like people like me did not grow up. Like, I know y'all, like Blanche say. I grew up around y'all. I know what y'all think. I subscribe to everything that y'all believed in. I was blackity black, wokety woke. I was with all of that. So I know the information and the platforms and the media, whatever that you guys consume. Yeah. So what I'm saying is these things are never challenged in real time. Yeah. So when you see a Clarence Thomas that speaks against the voting right, his stance in regarding to the 1965 Voting Rights Act, you'll say, oh, that's racist. Clarence Thomas voted. No. What Clarence Thomas is saying is the same way I feel. There should not be a certain selection of seats in the Senate or in Congress for black people. Right. Whoever get those seats, whoever's qualified should get those seats. That part. But the way black people look at things, we look at things based on representation. Yeah. Because there is a disparity, that means, and they have even changed the definition of disparity. But because we look at disparity, we look at that as an injustice. Yeah. We could say, there's not that many, for example, there's not a lot of black airline pilots with, what was the big story in the news with the airlines? Was it Delta? United Airlines, I believe.
I think it was,
But you ask most black people, how many black people that you know of that wanted to be pilots? Yes. Ask them and they'll tell you, I don't know any. Yes. So I don't understand the problem. This is another thing. This is an original thought of Malak's. I don't understand how roughly 12 to 13% of the population, you're upset if there was a show that has 50 cast members. This is something that you can relate to, but it only has 7 black people. Yeah. That pretty much represents black people in the United States. Yeah. So why would you, and I know my mic might be off just a little bit, as far as percentage. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, why do you expect 50% over 50%,
Yeah.
whatever? You want to be overly represented in every field,
Right.
but you only represent 12% of the population,
Yeah.
and this is because of your own doing.
That part.
But I'm
And
the coon. I'm the
listen,
coon, though.
but let's not even talk about your ability to actually, I don't know, maybe have the wherewithal to do the job that you are saying people need. Like if you can't pass the test, then why would I give it to you? If you are not, for instance, even in the industry, that's one of the things that piss me off. Watching these shows now, and I'm like, you can always tell the DEI people when you're watching like a show or movie, because it's like, this is trash. Like, how did you get this role? Like, you cannot act. You can't act. It literally had to be the equivalent of, okay, we have to have a black person in this role. So let's see how many black people we can get.
Right.
And this is the best one out of everybody. But then they don't match up to everything else. So it just ends up looking worse than what they meant it to in the first place. It's like y'all talk about diversity, equity, inclusion as if black people ain't in everything. Like
They're everywhere.
Why are y'all paying attention to how many black did 50 black people want the job? Like like how many people, how many people even apply for the job? Y'all are sitting up here basically saying that there are not enough black people in corporate America. How many black people want to be in corporate America? What do you mean?
There's no nuance. There's no nuance. There's no context. It's black and white. It's just black and white.
No critical thinking whatsoever. Logic has been taken out of the chat. There is no logic in the chat. So it's like you can't talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, right, because y'all are making it sound like it wasn't there to begin with. I say the same thing with women. Like that whole, literally, it's the exact same thing. Don't say that women don't get paid the same, should get paid the same amount as men. Like y'all want equality, but y'all only want equality in the spaces and the jobs that y'all want, because I don't see y'all in waste management. I don't see y'all on oil rigs out in the goddamn middle of the ocean. I don't see y'all drilling into the earth. I don't see y'all on construction sites. And honestly, the only women on the goddamn construction sites tend to be lesbian. If we keeping it a buck. So it's like, y'all do not want equality the way that you think that you do. Because if I was making the laws, and this is why God has to be the end all be all, because if I was making the laws and y'all tell me y'all women, y'all want to be equal, bet.
Get your ass in that ditch.
Listen, everybody, we need a woman in all of this. Y'all, then let's start to make sure it's equal. Let's appoint. We're just gonna we're gonna make you do this job. So every job that a man can only do, that women,
we need have representation.
Listen, y'all want representation? Bet. They should have said with diversity, equity, inclusion. Bet. Depending upon your GPA when you get out of high school, this is the only job you can have, which is the communist tactic. That's the communist goddamn tactic.
That is a that's communism 101. That's communism 101.
Bet. So this is what we're gonna do to give you what you want, because you're fighting for it so hard. We are going to accommodate you based on your GPA. These are the only jobs available to you. All y'all black people gonna be on those bottom of the barrel jobs that y'all don't want to do because of diversity, equity, inclusion. But while they sat up and didn't teach you nothing in school, so you would have them bottom of the barrel jobs, because y'all can't take tests and y'all can't take tests. Y'all can't do math. Math is racist. Yeah. So all of
math is racist. Math is racist.
Listen, I'm like communist tactic all the way down
everywhere.
Line. They get there.
That's what when Chuck said that, I was like,
what they want.
And that's why when Chuck said that, the communism is like the greatest story of the 20th century, I was like, wow. I was like, man, I never even looked at it like that, because it has literally infiltrated every walk of society, and it's pretty much tied into a globalist agenda.
Yes.
Because when you want something based on when you want something without you're removing merit, and you want equity. You want to remove. You want to have equity.
Yeah.
That's not how you build societies. The only way that you can build societies like that is by enforcement, and that's what communism does.
Yes.
So China, Korea, they're going to be this global this dominant force within within the world, but they're going to do it by force. We're going to make you create. Oh, you scored this on the whatever test that we're going to make you do this, and everybody, we're going to redistribute the wealth to everybody.
That part, no more freedom. You don't get to choose anything for your life. Now we do all the decision making for you. And the way they done tricked all of us, the entire goddamn country, the entire world, into fighting for it, thinking that this is what we want. This is going to be good for us. No, y'all, how do y'all not see them get you? You have to give up your freedoms to get those things.
Right.
But if you tell them that, they don't want to hear it. Then when you show it to them and break it down, nobody would do that. Nobody, nobody would do that. Nobody,
especially black people. As much as we like to flex, as much as we like to flex on each other, and you telling me that I'm only allowed to have one house, one car, one certain type of clothes, come on, man.
Be an electric car, can't be gas. It has to be an electric stove, can't be gas.
I get my rations. I get my rations. I get my certain type of medical insurance. Like I need a tooth pull, but I'm gonna have to wait like 6 months. So yes, it's gonna be free. I won't have to pay for it, but by the time I get care, I might be dead.
No, seriously. All of these institutions, we'll say like sports, how sports are so racist and it's modern day slavery, right? Okay, you know what? You guys are so right. Because of diversity and equity and inclusion, we're going to get rid of basketball. We're going to get rid of football. We're going to get rid of these sports. And then because the black community, you guys are so strong and so fast and you work well in aggressive situations, you're going to get the job. You are going to do the oral rig work. Y'all are gonna build the buildings because your bone structure.
Yeah, because you're physically superior.
So good at football and all
you're physically superior than everybody else.
Oh yeah, so because you're superior at these things that made you amazing in sports, okay, great. So we're gonna give you guys these jobs that other people's little bodies can't handle, but they suck. But diversity, equity, inclusion, like this will be the black people's job to help make sure the country runs because y'all are gonna dominate in this field though. Like there ain't gonna be no white people, there ain't gonna be no Asian people doing none of
foolishness.
That. It's foolishness. The way people can't see like them, they're making institutions the systemic racism now.
Right.
So that it's easy for them. So they're getting people to cry about it enough so that they can get rid of those things and then just insert something else that gives everybody DEI. Textbook. Get people to get people to beg for the very thing that will make them a slave.
Pathetic.
They've done it in every.
It's so sad because what's the saddest thing about it is men supposed to be leaders and supposed to speak out against these things, and we're not doing it. We're not doing it, and I'm just like, I don't understand how we're calling ourselves leaders, but we all this stuff has happened on the black man's watch, and this is why when I say the black man is weak, I'm speaking as a collective. Like, it doesn't hurt me. Like, men like me, men like Jay, men like Blanche, like it doesn't bother me when someone will say that, which most people don't say that, but I say that because I say that to trigger black people to having the conversation, because I'm gonna be honest. What I've noticed, you cannot speak to black people. If black people disagree with you, it doesn't matter how you say it. So I'm trying to just engage in a conversation because when Monique told black women, baby, I love you, she was very Ayanna Van Zant spoke about black women, and they dragged her for filth.
Yo.
So it doesn't matter what I've noticed when it comes to black people. You just gotta speak the truth.
Yeah.
You just have to be able to convey your message in a way that they're going to understand. And you got to do the best way that you can see fit doing it, because it doesn't matter how you say it. They hated Kevin Samuels.
Yeah.
Like they hated Steve. They hate all of these guys that's supposed to say it in a certain way. But you have all these that you love, the Nicki Minaj's, that the Meek Mills. You love all these different rappers that tell you basically, I'm better than you. Yeah. I can take your man. I can take your woman. They flex on you all day. They stunt on you all day.
Yes.
You don't have what I have.
Yeah.
And you have those reality TV stars.
Yeah.
You love them. But then you have a problem with what I'm saying. So I just noticed is black people, there is a contradiction. And we're being very disingenuous in these type of conversations.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, we need to be the victim, because anytime the reason people will have an issue with that is because it requires accountability. When people don't want to change in any situation, even if it's in a friendship, when somebody doesn't want to change, they do not want to be accountable. And when they don't want to be accountable, everything that you say, any topic that you try to address that's coming from a place of wanting to help the situation or make it better, or growth is involved, it's going to always be met with animosity, because they don't want to change. They're not ready to change. So when we're trying to talk to the black community about accountability, so what slavery? Okay, but you're accountable for your actions now. You weren't a slave. Your parents weren't slaves. So you're accountable for your actions right now. They don't want to talk about that. They need to be the victim. When you try to say something to somebody from the standpoint of what are you doing with your life? Women, black women, the whole stop aborting your babies. Or I don't know, stop sleeping with everybody to have these fatherless homes, but they don't want to, because welfare makes them more money and gives them a house. So they just would rather keep having more kids instead of actually becoming a better woman and a better example for their children. You try to deal with the fatherless home thing, but men they'll put the problem on the women sometimes and say, well, she just won't let me come around, blah, blah, blah. Well, then, bro, take her to court. Like,
take her to court. Stop being weak.
Like, either you want to see your kids or you don't. No matter what happens, your child one day is going to be old enough to see that you have been fighting to see them the whole time. Stop making it seem like, oh, well, she just won't let you, bro. Okay, court, that's what the court system's for. So it's all of these opportunities for accountability, but accountability is the problem. Because when you don't want to be held accountable, it's going to be seen as animosity. It just is. So because we have to stay the victim. That's why people keep harping on, and why every single person in power and communist minded person is always going to keep bringing up slavery, because it does the work for them. Black people need to be the victim. You talk about, and when people talk about like drug dealers selling to their own community, well, the white man brought the drugs in our community. What they got to do with the fact that you are still selling it, though? What they got to do with the fact that y'all are allowing these drug dealers in your communities to sell to children?
But why would he do that? Why would he do that, though? Do you think that the CIA, and I'm not taking the CIA or the FBI, off the hook, they are culpable? But you're equally as culpable. But what I've come to learn in my 43 years on this earth, black people hold the government to a higher standard than they hold their God and their morals. This is why politics, and I'm getting to a point, I don't know about you, Nicolette, but I'll speak for myself. I'm getting to a point where I'm starting to fall back a little from politics. Because what I'm noticing people are, I want to fall back. I'm not putting so much into politics, because I'm going to be honest. Yeah. No matter who's president, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, facts.
I'm going to, because I'm a child of God. Christ is my redeemer. So I'm going to, personally, I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the fact that we believe that politicians are going to make our lives better is sad to me. Like, you can't look within yourself, within your community, and change your own lives when right now there is no barriers that is systemically in place to prevent you as a black person from achieving a certain level of success. There are barriers in life that we all gotta go through. A white person, if he wants to become a lawyer, he just doesn't become a lawyer. He has to go and take the bar exam. A white boy wants to make it to the NBA. He has to be as good as everybody else. Like, he's not going to be like all these racial issues that we're fighting for. What I've noticed is just to keep up and is to maintain an industry.
Yes.
Because this industry profits off of black pain.
Yes.
So if they're not continuing to push these false racial narratives, the industry falls apart.
Yes. Oh, once you really start to dig into communism and how they operated in other countries, the number one thing you pick up on is how they always piggyback off of and latch to whatever the topic, the main topic of disparity is. And then they take that and then they make that and you remember I said it's always like one decision or the other. There ain't no middle ground. They make you pick a side. Yeah. So when that's why the race war in America, slavery, it was their golden goose. Because they literally could play that card whenever they wanted to, and black people lost their goddamn mind. Like the black community, the communism literally used the black community as a guinea pig for everything. The fact that we could have the Tuskegee experiment and black people literally still be the first ones to line up for the COVID vaccine. When they telling everybody it's experimental and they even came out of human trials yet, bruh. And they talking about something, the black community, every celebrity on TV talking about something. We need to make sure this gets to the black community first.
Gotta get your COVID shot. Gotta get your COVID shot.
syphilis.
Moderna
experiment. But then you have somebody like me or somebody who look like Jay. Black people saying like, "Hey yo, do not take that shot. Tuskegee experiment. Don't. Why are they trying to get it to the black community first?
It's a contradiction,
bro." And then again, black people losing their goddamn mind. Every coon, white supremacist, Uncle Tom under the flow, bruh. Like, I'm sorry. Are we now saying that the government would never do that? To an ethnic group? Because what? I'm sorry. I thought we all didn't trust the government. Now y'all trust the government?
Right.
They literally are telling you we need to make sure this experimental vaccine gets to the black community first. Yeah. I don't like they weren't even that direct with the Tuskegee experiment. Like, they was not that direct. The way they said this junk on TV. And people still like lined up and went off and called you a murderer, yo, if you didn't get it. Like, you can't come around me. You can't be anywhere near my baby. Yo, I was like, I'm sorry. Is this the moment where I get to say you ain't black if you took that vaccine? Because your ancestors are rolling over in their graves. If their souls were still in their body, they be rolling over in their goddamn graves right now that y'all lined up when these people told y'all that they needed to get this experimental vaccine. You don't even know what's in it, and y'all gonna line up and take it anyway because they told y'all to. But you're systemically oppressed. Like, they told you it was an experiment, and you chose. So
you volunteered for your own slavery.
No, where's the systemic racism at? Like, y'all volunteered. Y'all volunteered for that mess, but y'all really want me to believe. I watched y'all. Y'all want me to believe that it's a systemic problem. Y'all voted for Kamala Harris and like literally championed that woman after she made her career on the backs of black innocent men. And I'm
Fannie Willis.
Yo, in 2019, Kamala Harris was hated in California.
Yeah.
And I do mean hated. Like, they used to trash her. Everybody knew about her track record, sleeping her way to the top, all of that. The fact that she was not for black people, that she literally kept innocent black men in jail that she knew was innocent. Yo, everybody knew this in 2019. The second that they said that Biden was gonna make her his VP, it was like, I was like, this is not Munchausen. Well, I can't Manchurian candidate. Literally, I was like, how did they accomplish this? Soon as they announced her as a VP, everybody was like, oh my God, first female vice president, and she black. I'm sorry, what? When did she become black? I thought she identified as Indian, and I'm pretty sure she routinely denounced the black community, and we all collectively agreed that she couldn't have possibly been black. Like, what? I'm sorry, what? First black what? What is happening in California, bro? When I tell you, somebody was it in Pasadena? Somebody had like a huge like low-key rally or parade, like celebrating the jump in California. And I was like, and this is literally like a month after like the year had started. And I'm like, I'm sorry, we went out of 2019. Everybody knew who Kamala really was. And then now that she's on the ticket for VP, now she's black and she's walking around wearing Timbs, and that makes her black.
Listen to Tupac.
Yo,
listen to Tupac.
It made me sick to my stomach. I literally.
But you know she went to Howard University, so that makes you by default you black.
Yo,
you know?
When I tell you I couldn't believe, this is why I tell people you can't tell me communism ain't in America, because California is a whole communist state and has been, because the fact that I could watch that happen. And I was and then everybody that was saying the same thing with me, I went right back to that. I was like, what is y'all doing? I thought you hated Kamala. Right. It's our first black. Since when was she black, though? She don't even like black people. She herself has said she identifies as an Indian. So exactly. Black where? What are you talking about? Oh, well, she said she took all that back.
Married to a white man, which I had no issue with, but
me either. One thing I hate, and the black community says this all the time. Oh, well, they apologize for that. What did you just say? So Crime Bill Joe, when you bring up the crime bill, you know what they say? Oh, well, he apologized for that.
I hear that all the time, man. Like, stop.
So when do the white people who didn't have nothing when white people accountable for slavery?
Exactly.
But these two people
who never did anything. Fully
racist, and all they had to do was apologize. All they had to do was say an apology. They ain't have to really do anything to show that they apologized. Because the way Joe Biden still ain't done enough for the black community, and then literally ran his entire campaign off of talking to black people crazy in public, on live. They still talking about, well, he apologized for that. Well, did he apologize for the way? Oh my God, bro. The way I posted a video. This was probably my first video that went viral on TikTok. Was the one when people oh my God, what is that dude's name? Joe Rogan. When Joe Rogan did that, when he was saying what somebody else said when he said the N-word, because he was repeating what other people said, and people were harping on him, and I was like, Joe Biden did that like in Congress, like that junk is on record in Congress. And you know what people said? Well, he was reading what somebody else said. I'm sorry.
They got an excuse for everything.
So what I did, I took all the clips when Joe Rogan said the N-word. Come to find out, he was saying what somebody else said. He was repeating what somebody else said. So Joe Rogan did the same thing Joe Biden did.
But they dragged him.
And literally
they dragged Joe Rogan.
The same thing.
They try to cancel Joe Rogan for that.
Yeah, they did. But that's why I made a video about it, and then I literally said in that video, I said, this is why people don't take the black community seriously, because we don't even take ourselves seriously. Because how are y'all going to be mad at Joe Rogan for repeating what somebody said when he said the N-word, but then champion Joe Biden? And that wasn't his only racist thing that he said. And people was like, well, he had to. No, he didn't. Everybody knows what you mean when you say the N-word. You don't have to say it. You can just say the N word, and then that whole the N word thing is
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. It's the N word is such a non-issue. The way the way that black people use it is such a non-issue. I'm to the point where I feel you might disagree with me right here.
I'm not gonna disagree because you might be surprised by what I'm gonna say. So sure.
I feel because the way that black people treat each other and the things that we say and the privilege that we have, I'm sorry. If a white person says the N word, I don't have no problem. If you do something that is egregious and they want to get back at you and they know a way that they can trigger you, I don't have a problem with that because you do that. Black people do. We find out whatever way we can get under your skin. I don't care if I'm gonna talk about your mother, your dead mother, your children. I have had guys that talked about my dead mother. I have had people talk about my daughter, talk about my son, talk about my wife. Black people trying to get under my skin. So if they would do that to somebody of their own race, you already deemed a white man as the devil.
Yeah.
Why would he hold back on getting under your skin?
Right.
Like so
when
he should be able to.
That word has all the power in the world.
Exactly. So if I was him, and if you're being egregious, I'm going to say something as disrespectful as I can because black people do that. We there's always violence, like you said earlier. We don't care. Yeah. And guess what? I'm gonna end it like this on that point. I wouldn't even consider the white person racist. I wouldn't even consider them racist. I would just consider them saying something to get under your skin to rile you up. I still would not even deem a white person racist.
It's a word like okay, this is my thing. Right? So the B word, right? So that had a negative connotation, and now somehow it's this term of endearment. So if everybody can say the B word, why can't everybody? This is my thing. Why can't everybody say the N word? And then this is my thing on that, right? This is mine. It is just a word. So either it's just a word and it don't matter, right? Or because if we're going to use it as a term of endearment, well, then it doesn't matter how it's used.
Don't matter, exactly.
It's just then what you're saying is it's just a word. Okay, bet. So it's either just a word, or nobody gets to say it. Because why? If your basis for why white people can't say it is because slavery, then why do you want to have that word as a part of your legacy? Like, make that make sense. Like, you can't, if you
explain that to me.
Still saying it, then they should get to say it too.
What?
Because the people who are keeping that word alive is not the racist white people.
It's black people.
It's the black people.
Black people.
Black people are keeping that word alive. If you want the word to go away, then stop freaking saying it. If you want to be able to say it, well, then they get to say it too. Because it's either just a word or nobody gets to say it. Because what we not going to do is act like the horrible, disgusting, abhorrent things that happened during slavery now gets to be the thing that only we can do, because that's freaking disgusting. That whole sense. Like making mixed people pick a side, that makes you want to punch people in their freaking throat.
And I know they outlawed the word retarded, but that's retarded. That's retarded.
You can't. I literally have corrected people. Why do you? Did somebody? And I will ask them when I told you. I always ask logical questions. Did somebody pressure you into picking a side? No.
Of course they did.
Well, why did you pick a side? Well, I know, but I thought I have a friend I actually have a few friends who are mixed who identify as black, whose white parent is one of their best friends, is they're so close to. So they grew up in a loving home. Help me understand why you identify as black, but how do you think that makes your mother feel? How do you think that makes your father feel? Well, that's
the problem I have with Colin Kaepernick. That's the problem I have with Colin Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick.
The clown.
The way, bro.
He is a bozo.
Not only was you adopted, your already mixed behind was adopted by a white family, so obviously they can't be inherently racist. And then that white family still put money in a trust for you. So not only are you getting millions from the NFL, but you getting money from your trust. But white people are inherently racist, and this country is inherently racist. Well, bruh, then your butt would still be in an orphanage somewhere. You would have been a part of the system, and you wouldn't have seen the NFL if it wasn't for your inherently racist white family.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what it's do you, your loving white family? Because he didn't have a terrible childhood, and I can't. What are we doing? There were literally black people who fought in this country to marry who they wanted to. So now, are y'all really telling me that we are on the brink of y'all trying to get that goddamn law?
Exactly. What is the loving versus the unite, whatever?
Love,
like
versus,
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like people, black people champion that. They champion that.
Yes.
But then you practice the total opposite of something that you champion for.
Yes. When people
and
say,
if a black man marries a white woman, he is a sellout.
Yo.
But if a black woman does the same thing, it's not really frowned upon. Or what I'm saying is,
now she's a pick me. Unless you're a politician. If you're a politician, well, then it's okay that your spouse is white.
Okay, I'll stay corrected.
All of those Democrat politicians, though, who everybody put on a pedestal, all of their spouses are white.
Are white,
so
exactly.
Help me
you're right.
Help me understand the inherent racist part. Y'all are married. They married black people. They married Somalian. They married Hispanic. Help me understand where the racism in their life.
That's why Kamala Harris, she echoed the same sentiments of that idiot Joe Biden. Would talk about the greatest threat on American society is white supremacy.
Yes.
And I'm like, Kamala Harris, you are an idiot. You are married. If that's the case, if I believe that as a so-called black woman, why would I marry a white man?
Right.
I already deemed that white people are racist. Why am I going to marry a white man?
Bro, even Don Lemon, bro, you gay and still picked a white
James Baldwin, we can go back further than that.
But again, this is the stuff that is right in front of black people's mind. And I'm telling you, this one, I'm like, we are literally living in the mass scale of the Manchurian candidate. Because y'all know who their spouses are. Like they in pictures, in the White House press and all of this.
Right.
So y'all are seeing these same people talk about white supremacy, be married to white people.
Loving versus Virginia. Thank you, Hannah.
Yes. Help make it make sense. If white people are inherently racist, why are they marrying black people? What? Help me. Why are they dating? What are they suffering through? What are they getting out of it if they're inherently racist? Because and that's another thing I tell people: real racists, they not touching a black person. They hate to their core. They not about to fake. There ain't nothing.
They don't want to breathe the same air you breathe. Let alone they don't want to breathe the same air you breathe. Let alone reproduce with you and marry.
They're not about to share a meal with you. They're not about to sit at the table with you. Like they're just not. They're not doing anything that involves where you would be in the same room, same area. Right. Like real racists do not play about that. So I'm looking at these people talking about like, no, that's not what racism. That's not racism. If anything, if what y'all talking about really, and this is another communist tactic that all these little things, they're changing the definition of stuff. The way you don't hear people talk about prejudice no more. Yeah. All of these issues is a class issue. It's right. A money issue. It's not racism. It's prejudice.
Right.
Because if it was really racism, then all of these Black and Hispanic and Latino politicians would not be married to white people.
AOC.
Yes.
Ted Cruz.
Yes.
And I know he's on the
like
right.
Like I said, Don Lemon. Yeah. Like, come out. Like, seriously.
Don Lemon makes me sick to my stomach.
Yo.
Like, he literally makes me sick. Like, The fact that this guy does not know that he's being used by these liberals to push if you look at Don Lemon's career earlier, 15 years ago, it's safe to say that he was pretty much a staunch conservative. He kind of spoke, yes. Oh, look back at Don Lemon back in 2007 and 2008. He was very critical. He was very critical of black people in America.
Yeah.
And somewhere down the line, we know that it is more profitable. It is more profitable to align yourselves with the political left and to espouse the different views and different ideologies. You're going to, it's the reason why even when he got let go from CNN, I believe they gave him, I think it was like 24 million. Yeah.
But you lying.
But you're oppressed though. You got a 24 million. 24
for
million.
Doing what? Yo, no.
For doing nothing.
That was a payout. Whatever they asked him to do.
They bought him out.
What $24 million?
Yeah. It was over there. It was something like that. It might not be exactly, but I know. Yeah.
$1 million. I really.
If somebody can look that up for me, put that in the chat. But I know it's around 24 million. Yeah.
$24 million.
Exactly.
You know how much money that is?
But he's oppressed though. He's running around sleeping with white men. Yeah. He's running around sleeping with white men. He had one of the most prestigious job in mainstream news media, and he's still running around here talking about he's oppressed. And this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm just at the point like this where as long as black people have an excuse, like you're never going to see any real substantive progress in the black. You're just not going to see it.
No, you're not.
People can say, "Oh, you're being so critical of the black community." Everybody else, no. We talk about a lot of different things,
myself included. I'm critical of everybody.
Exactly. I get on Klaus Schwab. I get on the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and George Soros. Bro,
we could talk about Jay-Z with his capitalist behind centers. Literally, him and Beyonce talking about they are oppressed because they black. I'm sorry, are y'all billionaires or not? Where's the oppression? First of all, the fact
$2 billionaires
just say that she's just gonna do a country album and don't even sing country music, but then overshadow all the black people who have been doing country music
and go number one on the charts.
Oppression.
But go number one on the charts.
Yes, and then somebody actually asked Jay-Z at a goddamn conference why he did not go back to the hood to help the hood like Nipsey did. You know what he said? He essentially said was they need to learn how to pull themselves up by their bootstraps like I did.
Ooh, sound like a conservative to me. That's a conservative talking point to me.
Whole capitalist. Like he literally told them like, no, they need to learn how to do it themselves. Why do I don't give handouts? And the person was like, well, we're not talking about a handout. Like, why not do it? And they used Nipsey as an example, and he was like, no, they need to learn how to do that themselves. I did it myself, so they need to learn how to do it themselves. Okay. But blackity black,
they know the truth.
Blackity black black though. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, they know the truth with Nicolette, man. I swear, it's been a pleasure talking with you. Yeah. Before we get out of here, I wanted to. I'm looking at the notes that I had, and I want to get what's your take on this, because everybody's saying we've been talking about black people, so let's get on this real quick before we get up out of here.
Yeah.
So one of the founders of Blexit, Candace Owens, recently has been under hot water in regarding to her stance on the Israel-Palestine war. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people within the black community seem to be kind of somewhat divided. What is your whole take on that? I'm interested, being that I'm pretty sure you met Candace before.
I actually haven't. People think that I would have. People think that I would. Yeah, but I haven't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your that's interesting. What is your whole stance on that?
Ain't it though?
I'm curious.
Ain't it though?
Wow.
All right.
Come on. This is making conservatism look cool platform. This is unfiltered. This ain't for the.
One thing everybody can say about me is that I deal in transparency. I I don't say anything that I don't back up. My daddy raised me to be a woman of my word. My word is my bond.
There you
And
go.
him being a military man, he did not play about that. So and then of course with my faith, I could really care less how somebody takes me when I'm speaking truth.
Right.
Because God's word cannot return into him void, and he is the way, the truth, the light, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing with what's going on with Candace right now, I wasn't surprised because the platform that her show is on, the owners of it are Jewish, and me and Jay was actually talking about this today. And one of the things that I said was, if my production company is Christian and somebody on my staff, on my show, whatever, start speaking against Christianity, you're getting fired.
Right.
I don't understand why people are surprised that she got fired. It should have been an expectation. Now everybody else are surprised. Clearly, she wasn't surprised. There is zero. You can't tell me that she didn't know what she was doing. One, because she's been too ingrained in politics for too long
Right.
to not know what she was doing. That just is what it is. I've been doing this too long and been in politics long enough at this point, um, for at least 5 or 6 years now, heavily, to you can see that coming. And even when she started saying certain things, and the way that she was going at Ben Shapiro was very interesting to me, because I'm like at the end of the day, that's your boss. So if you feel like, if you're risking doing all of that on a public platform, that's the risk that you're taking. So if you get, I'm surprised she didn't get fired sooner, honestly.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
just me. But it's just when you have a job, when you have like
Yeah.
an actual job, you know that, like, when you go against the standards of the company
Right.
that you work
Yeah.
for, they are probably going to fire you, because they tend to, like, it doesn't make sense for any successful company to be successful. You have to have people on your team that subscribe to what you are doing. That is the success. If you just have worker bees, you're only going to get so far. Your company really sees growth, or the business or a production company, whatever you're doing, you really see growth when everybody is championing the cause, because then
Right.
they're not just worker bees. Now you have worker bees on steroids. You know what I'm saying? So anytime somebody steps outside of that, they probably gonna lose their job. Like, every company has a certain standard that they set for their team, for their company, for their staff. I personally, being a freelance artist, I have a certain standard for the people who are in my network.
Right.
When you start speaking crazy, I stop working with you. That is literally, that's cause and effect. That's simple cause and effect. The way people are acting like she was done wrong is so interesting to me, because she definitely wasn't surprised. I can guarantee you she wasn't surprised. Two, um, the whole debate with the Israel thing. This is what I must say from a Christian standpoint, and I know a lot of people gonna disagree with me on this, but I'm not subscribing to the Marxist, the communist tactic in the moment that's pitting the Israel-Palestine thing. Super communist tactic, because the race war is played out. They need
Right.
something else that's stronger. So yeah, we need
Right.
another race war. That's literally what they doing. It's textbook. You can see it clear as day. Outside of that, as a Christian, because you have to get in America,
Right.
which most people will say is a Christian nation. Once you get their ideologies in opposition, you have to get their religion in opposition. So you started that with the social gospel versus the gospel of Jesus, right? Now you have to go even more than that, and break it all the way down to literally what the Bible is, Old Testament and New. Jew, Gentile, right? That's
Right.
why the whole Jew Zionist thing and all of that stuff. So when I talk to Christians about this, this is me. God was very clear in his word when he said there is now neither Jew nor Gentile. So when people are saying Israel is always God's chosen people, so I'm gonna break that down. God promised Abraham that his seed would be as vast as the sands of the earth. There is zero, because God doesn't mince words. He said what he said and he meant what he meant. There is zero way that if it only came from Abraham's seed, that would not be possible. There is literally right now, still probably not more Jews on this planet. The 8 billion people on this planet is probably not majority Jew, right? So then that would make God a lie, and God can't lie. So if he promised Abraham that his seed would be as vast as the sands of the seas of the world, the sand, the grain of sand, right? How is that possible if not for Jesus dying on the cross? The children of Israel were God's chosen people, yes. So if Jesus dies on the cross, when Jesus died on the cross, God rent that veil and he sent Paul to say that there is now neither Jew nor Gentile.
There you go.
Which means there is no more separation between Jew or Gentile. Now all children are the chosen people of Christ. Now all God's children who choose to pick up their cross and follow after the Lord, now they are the children of Israel, because Israel literally means praise. Like, if your life praises that of our God, you are a child of Israel. It's not just, there is no separation now. So if there is now neither Jew nor Gentile, again, God does not mince words. He said what he said, and he meant exactly what he said. So if there's now neither Jew nor Gentile, there is not us who are like not blood-born Jews and then still the children of Israel, blood-born Jews. That, because then that would make God a lie. So why are we right now putting this separation between us and Jews, and then literally even within Christianity putting Israel above the rest of us who are not Jews, who are
everybody acquiesced to that.
That part. And that's the part that was killing me, because again, God said there is now neither Jew nor Gentile. He meant that. Right. He meant that. And he said that. Romans. It's like, for me, I'm just like, I'm not picking a side.
Of Romans first chapter.
Yes. So for me, I'm not picking a side, because all I'm looking at is the death on both sides. And now God is not backing that. God is not backing that. And if people, and this is the other thing, if people really looked at how that even went down, explain to me why Israel took so long to respond. Explain to me how Israel didn't see these people parachuting. There's hundreds of people, hundreds of soldiers parachuting down, and it literally took them 7 minutes before a response. So we just gonna ignore, even again, this is where I say it, even on our side, people don't pay attention to stuff. So we are just going to ignore that the one of the most sophisticated military systems in the world missed hundreds of soldiers, not just parachute in, but it took them 7 minutes before they even started to respond. But how did they get into their airspace without nobody knowing?
Good question.
So we're just like literally not gonna talk about the orchestration of this. It's like all of a sudden we forget that there are people, that some of us are very much aware of the elite group of billionaires that run the world and are trying to push everybody into a new world order.
Stop right there. Let's. Because I want to get ready to get up out of here. And you just said something that was so important, because we can go all day. I want to stay right there.
Yeah.
I hear you breaking all of that down, and I agree with you, for the most part. Mm-hmm. The bigger issue, whereas, when I look at what Candace stands, yes, she has to realize that when she says something that is polarizing, it's going to cause some conflict with people who share this certain theology.
Right.
But with that being said, for Ben Shapiro to say that, truth over feelings, what is that saying that he always say? he always say that he
I don't
believes
know.
in
I don't
truth.
really listen to him that much.
Yeah, me neither. That little
Yeah.
that little voice, I can only take so much of that. I don't see how people can
Facts.
do it. I don't see it. Anyway.
Well.
Truth over feelings. That is, I believe, what he says.
Mm-hmm.
For him to say that he subscribes to truth over feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't, when you look at the things that take place within the small hat community, I'll just call them that, the small
Mm-hmm.
hat community, I never see these guys, like how Candace Owens was critical of Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't no pushback from Ben Shapiro, the Daily
Mm-hmm.
Wire, or most conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
But when the Jewish community, it seems like, and this is the thing that I don't think Candace Owens, maybe she do want people to feel sorry. I don't know. What I will say this, I will commend her for standing up against that juggernaut, which we know as the so-called Jewish community. And because what she said is what a lot of people are afraid to say. Mm-hmm. Now, she got to know that she's going to get fired, so I don't feel sorry for her. You have to know, like you said earlier, when you say something like that, you got to know that you're going to get fired.
I believe, and even in being in the industry, right?
Right.
When you're doing shows like that too, when you're signing contracts, the contracts are very clear as to what is off limits, because you're going to be on the air.
Right.
These things are going to air, and if the goal is to not have to chop out or edit anything out, there are things that are going to be said that you have to agree to not speak on, to not say, like whatever. Those contracts are very clear. It's just like it's literally just like any other job, really, when it says like by you taking this job and signing this contract of employment, basically you agree to not be racist. You agree to not to not treat people based on their sex, their race, their religion, their creed, blah blah blah, like those things. Right. It's very similar in the world of production. Very same thing. So the fact that, and this is something else I want people to pay attention to, the fact that she is not attempting to sue them for wrongful termination or discrimination should tell everybody they need to know about whether whether they was in the right in firing
that
her.
Was a fireable offense
based on their contract. So if she was willing to break that contract, then she was willing to break that contract. But also too, maybe she was just ready to go and she was just like, you know what, F it.
I'm gonna be honest. That's what I think.
Good.
I'm gonna be honest.
In a contract, but that's like the fact that she's not trying to sue them for wrongful termination or whatever. She's not trying to sue them for something. Literally means there was either a contract in play and she made it null and void by the things that she decided to speak on, or she was already ready to go and was just like, you know what, this is how I want to go out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll put it like this. I in regarding to that thing, because I go back and forth when it comes to Candace Owens, but in regards to that, I think she brought up I think she highlighted something that a lot of us see, that a lot of us, are afraid to say. Yeah. And the fact that, her stance on that is consistent and it is rooted in truth. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say that, because she was merely highlighting that you are not allowed to even critique the Jewish community. Everybody is allowed for some level of criticism. Right. The Jewish community, they have, and even what I'm saying right now, this is called, what I'm saying, people will mark this, people that are in that community and people that fall for the whole, the trope of anti-Semitism, and like they'll think that what I'm saying is anti-Semitism, because what I've come to find out is anytime you even disagree with a fundamental belief within the said Jewish community, you are anti-Semite, you hate them. So the fact that what I noticed, what I've come to understand when it comes to Ben Shapiro, I believe he's a fraud. I believe he's a fraud because there is a ceiling, like we talked about earlier, in regarding to the gatekeepers and different factions within the conservative community. Ben Shapiro, he will critique everything with a fine-tooth comb. He'll go all through backlight, and he was right on that. He was right on that. But you're not even allowed to even disagree. Candace never said that she. What I've noticed is anti-Semitism basically means if I disagree with Jewish people. And if I disagree in the event that I disagree with something that they does, they equate that to me hating them, and I need to be canceled, and I need to lose all sponsorship, and that's the problem that I have, and I love that she brought attention to that, and no one can dispute that right there.
See, for me, what I see is a communist tactic.
Of course it is. Yeah, of course.
Right, and then and also too, that's why I talk about prejudice, because the other thing I see is the fact that, like, she highlighted it, yes, but I'm also just looking at the fact that, like, well, literally anybody who has the money in the world on earth, because the love of money is the root of all evil, and the devil is the father of lies and the prince of this earth. So this earth is his for the most part, right? So it's like the people who have the money are the ones who are going to have the most power. So all I'm looking at is, that's why I said what I see is a class issue. I'm not seeing a race issue. It just so happens to be that Jewish people got money and they own a lot of stuff. So what I'm looking at is the class issue, because they own stuff. So if they don't have to keep somebody around, they don't have to keep somebody around. If you're working on any of their entities, they can fire you because they're not going to be pressed because they got money. But in actuality, and it might be a devil's advocate, I don't know. I just also too am just like, because I can see the communist tactic, it no matter what it is, no longer matters, because communism is literally from the pit of hell. Like, communism is the equivalent of Satan at work in the earth.
Exactly. 100%. That's all it is. It's just a vehicle that Satan uses.
Oh yeah, and it's the best one, because the way communism always starts in every single country, no matter what the topic is, even in America, it always looks like the angel of light. Every single time, they always come in on the side of the people who are being done wrong, and then they make it bigger than what it really is. That's why I talked about the fact that, like, prejudice is not even a thing no more. The way I haven't heard anybody talk about prejudice in like almost 10 years is crazy. It's always a race thing. So that whole the way the Palestine-Israel thing happened, and it was the immediate anti-Semitism thing, I was like, dang, like, y'all wasted no time on that. And the way that's still the thing right now, it's no longer like the black-white thing has taken a back seat. Now it's Palestine and Israel, right? And then if you speak against anything that's against the Jew, all they're doing is the same. Now they're doing with the Jews exactly the same thing they did with white people. Now all Jewish people think like this. All Jewish people are like this. Now we're going to be mad at all the Jewish people because they got all the money and they own all this stuff. It's like, well, we already knew all of that. She's shining light on it, yes. But if you live in Southern California, we already knew that. So the fact that, like, that junk was working in California, and I was like, I'm confused. We already knew this. This is not new. Like, most of the production companies in LA and Hollywood are Jewish owned.
But Nicolette, this is a question I have, even to you.
Yeah.
Why is that this community, you are literally, I've never seen anything like this. Like, you literally cannot say you cannot critique anything that they do. Like I noticed that there is a hierarchy of in regarding to the victim hierarchy. And it seemed like this community, like even people within the community, if you can show me where someone speaks out against the things that they do within that community, like me and me and you are considered coons for speaking out against some certain things within the black community.
Yes.
But I don't see no one, and this when again, I don't say this
but that's
to say that.
Thing. I think that's more.
I don't say that to be to I don't say that disparagingly or to cast some type of judgment on the Jewish community as a whole, as a collective.
Yeah.
But what I do notice is you're not allowed to even disagree with them. Like you're allowed to disagree with black people, you're allowed to disagree with the LGBT, but these people, and they're not even really that much with them, but but with that community, it's I've never seen any, like in that interview that she did with that rabbi.
Yeah.
The guy literally said that the definition changed, like the anti-Semitism changed. So if the, like she said, if the definition, and this is not no way me trying to be, I'm not the biggest Candace Owens supporter, but I'll call it when she's right, she's right.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, if the definition changes, then it's not a definition.
Right.
If the definition changes,
That's
that definition means it's defined.
Absolutely.
So it's almost like you're trying to purposely avoid any type of accountability for anything that you do. I can't even say, hey, Nicolette, I disagree with you. I don't like how you did that person's man. Like that means, Nicolette, the way you did it, I hate you. That's how the people that represent that community, what we see, that's how that's what we get from them. And I don't hear anybody else in that community, even on social media, I don't hear them saying, yeah, I don't think that my fellow Jews, I don't think that what they did is wrong. I don't see it.
Yeah. I think the fact that we don't see it, I think that's more of a cultural thing as to why we don't see it. Now they might do it amongst themselves, but doing it, criticizing their
just say that they wrong. Just say, oh, I don't disagree.
Right.
You ain't got. I don't hate you. I just disagree.
I think it's more cultural. Like how you said, like how if we say something, if the black community says something against somebody else in the black community, then we'll do that back and forth. There's no camaraderie, right? There's no respect there, right? The level of respect that we say we blackity black, but we don't respect each other if you don't think the way that I think, right? I think when it comes to the Jewish community, I think that that's not something that they play about. You know what I'm saying? I think they have more respect for each other. And I think that because that's why I said I think it's a cultural thing. I think that's just based on like there are certain things that you'll never see the Latino community do outside of the Latino community. Same thing with the Asian community, Pacific Islanders, Samoans. Like there are literally things you will never see them criticize certain things outside of their cultures. They will do it within their cultures, and you'll see it if you're close enough to a family or you befriend and they consider you family. You'll get to see it, but there are certain things that don't get addressed. Certain criticisms that they don't address on a public platform, coming at each other like that. So I think with the Jewish community, that's just how their culture rolls. But as far as being able to criticize them, that's definitely something I hope people pay attention to the extent of this is why you can't make man an idol. Because whenever you make man an idol, that junk always will come back to bite you in the butt. And I'm not talking about Candace. I'm talking about the Jewish community. I'm talking about politicians. Like literally anybody in power, if their lives are not committed to the Lord, they don't care about it. Because they're going to come up, they're going to have a point in time in their life, because the devil is the devil. He is super consistent and so glaringly predictable, right? So everybody is going to come up to a point to where they have a decision to make that is going to make a very stark difference to what God they serve. So when somebody the Jewish community, money is always the thing. Their money is always going to be a thorn in the flesh. Slavery always going to be the thorn in the flesh of the Black community. Every culture as a whole is always going to have its thorn in the flesh, and that was always one of the things I loved about what Paul said, because that thorn in the flesh is always going to be the one. You can change everything else in your life and it'd be easy, but that thorn in your flesh is the one thing that you have to consciously decide to submit to God and nail to the cross every single day, because it's the one thing that has the power to separate you from you, to separate you. And I honestly think that with the Jewish community, it is money. And you have
well,
to
if that's the case, Nicolette, I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna have to disagree with their stance. If that's the case, because people like Ben Shapiro, that means that they lack integrity. Because if you're going to do that, you're basically showing that you have an allegiance with somebody based on skin color, just like Black people do. The Black people who do that, that's very disingenuous. That shows a lack of integrity. If you are a real truth seeker, you can't say, well, I'm not going to critique somebody because they're Jewish, but you guess what? I'm gonna critique Black Lives Matter. I'm gonna critique what AOC is doing. I'm gonna critique all these other, the LG, like, no. You should critique. Don't separate your community, and that's my only point. I don't care if that's what you want to do. Fine, have at it. But I'm gonna call you a hypocrite. I'm gonna call you a hypocrite, and I'm gonna say that you're someone that lack integrity, and that's just what it is. I'm sorry.
And that still goes back to, you cannot serve God and mammon. Either your life is submitted to God and not to your skin, not to your people, not to your blood. Because Jesus didn't care about none of that. Jesus literally said you have to forsake your mother, your father, your son. Literally, you have to forsake your bloodline to follow him. So
he said, sure, who try to save his life will surely lose it.
Exactly. And if you want to have your life, you have to like, it has to be gone. Your life, as you know it, has to be gone. So if your allegiance is to anybody more than it is to God, you already wrong. Period. It doesn't matter. You could be doing all of that. That's why God said that you like heaven work will not get you to heaven. It won't. You could be doing all the right things, but if something supersedes your loyalty to God, you're gonna be wrong. You're gonna make the wrong decision. You are going to make the wrong decisions because God can't. It just is what it is.
Well, look, man. Look, Nicolette. I love how you ended that. I'm gonna let you. Like I said, I enjoyed this conversation. I'm glad everybody tuned in, and
I can't even just started. I hope it was good. I hope everybody enjoyed it.
I hope everyone enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. I hope you guys come back. I've learned some things. You are a remarkable woman, Nicolette, and I keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I'm going to continue to promote you and give you your flowers, so to speak, your proverbial flowers.
Thank you.
And shout out to your man Jay. I want to get both of you guys on a platform at one time.
Okay.
Because I left a lot of stuff on the cutting room floor. But would you have any closing words before we get up out of here?
Honestly, my closing words always. Well, I'm gonna do number 2. My number 2 is always encouraging people to never take anybody's word at face value. Even people you agree with, everything that comes out of their mouth, still go double check it, because the Bible says we have to study to show ourselves approved. So even if you agree with me and you believe me to be right, please go fact check it. What I'm saying, you do not allow anybody to have more of a foothold in your life when it comes to the truth than God. And then my number 1 always be every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess that He is Lord. So literally, you cannot see that Satan is alive and well, not alive. He is running rampant and having his way through everything that's going on in the world right now, in our country. I don't know what to tell you, but for those of you that can definitely see that, God is hard after your heart, and He's literally never stopped. So I want to encourage you, if you've never picked up a Bible, never picked up the Bible, you should download the Bible app. Like, start to seek God for yourself and start to question everything you've ever been told about God, the Holy Spirit, Jesus. Literally seek it for yourself, and seek to ask questions, because asking questions never hurt. Like, what do you have to do? So.
No doubt. Well, thank you, Nicolette. I know it's Saturday night. You know, I normally try not to get people, interviews on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I am gracious that you decided to spend your night with me having this conversation.
Yeah.
I know that you have family, but again, thank you for your time.
I appreciate you.
You know, and maybe we can do this again. Hopefully, we can do this again.
We probably did.
You know. So
yeah.
on that note,
the interview you and guy they did was awesome. Watched the whole thing. So yeah, we talked about it afterwards too. So we definitely look forward to coming with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Nicolette. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Signing out, Nicolette Vonchelle. Go check this interview out. Go follow her on Instagram. This is an amazing woman. Thank you, everybody. Y'all have a good night here.
Good night.
All right.